Have you ever traveled through time? We do it every day.
Asgardia is a country with a population of more than 1 million people from more than 200 countries on Earth. Asgardia gives everyone equal opportunities, no matter what their earthly status is.
It is possible to create and live in the future right now. Are you ready? Forward progress is the solution to the entire human race. Our mission is to bridge new horizons. In Asgardia, there is no limit to the universal development in the fields of technology, finance, and arts. Asgardia is a new space and digital economy which creates opportunities for the global economy. We deliver innovations. Do you want to get on board with us? We are developing various kinds of digital businesses, attracting them to the Asgardia platform that can be backed by the means of our umbrella, i.e. franchising of the Asgardia brand. We can not only attract investments into space programs from prominent institutional investors, but also affordable amounts from the citizens of Asgardia. We comprise of more than 1 million people.
Asgardia is a chance to realize one's dream. This is a dream-driven space nation. Asgardia is a chance to belong to a community of free-thinking enthusiasts, goal-driven dreamers, and fearless innovators, theorists, and scientists.
We are the first space nation. One humanity, one unity.
Asgardia.
We are creating
The future.
Dr. Clark, you look tired.
Who? Me?
No,
me.
Dr. Clark does.
True story. I'm very tired.
Oh. Oh dear. What is the time over there at your place then?
It's just 7 a.m.
Oh gosh. Yeah. So that's quite logical. You need a lot of coffee.
But that's a drug. Be teetotal and free.
So,
So you carry on. I'll be back in just a moment. You carry on.
I used to try just to make it through these with tea, and my husband prevailed in making me a coffee drinker. So now
Yeah.
I drink coffee.
Yeah. Caffeine helps.
It does. So right at present, I'm experimenting with, apparently in Britain, you're either a MIF or you're a TIF. You're a milk-in first or you're a tea-in first. And I've always been a TIF. But now that I'm drinking coffee, I put the milk in first. It's very strange.
I like my coffee as strong as possible. So espresso and then the strong versions.
My husband drinks quad shots of espresso campana, like just all the time. He too loves his espresso. It's a little strong for me. I'm just drip coffee.
What brand?
Funny you should ask. Actually, our own brand. My husband owns a coffee company. So I drink his.
Okay. Gosh. What's the name of the brand?
It's called Coin Toss Coffee.
Yep. And I can vouch for it. It tastes good. I bought some as their cowboy blend, and it was really good. But I'm gonna experiment and try a few other
He
different
does.
ones.
Right.
So
John, you're
some
looking very
information
smart.
on that.
Will do.
I'm gonna send her Spanish copy. So check us out.
I see we are live now, so maybe you can share the brand to the world, so you can sell to the world then.
Who are you talking to?
Sarah.
Oh, yeah,
Because
she's got a great
she
brand. It's a great coffee
she
brand.
she's already doing that through my podcast. She sponsors my podcast for me, and I advertise on there for them. So,
Well,
Nice.
she's doing a great job. She's doing a great job.
and you get 10% off if you use my promo code.
What percentage is Asgardia getting?
It
Right.
depends.
Well, right, we are live, so we'll get going. Thank
Well,
you.
they ship worldwide.
Yes. Absolutely. Onto the International Space Station if the price is right. Right. Welcome, everybody, to day 2 of our sitting. This is the 12th sitting of the Second Parliament of Asgardia. I'm Len Topic, the Chair of Parliament, and that means that it is my duty to serve those you see on the screen and to try to do the best I can in my human way to try to make things work efficiently and sensibly. This is day 2, and before we go further, I invite our wonderful interpreters to explain how you can follow the activities here if you're a member of Parliament in your own language. I should say that because we have our interpreters, that has reduced our time by 75%. So if for every hour that we do is really like 4 hours in the past. So in 2 hours, we can do what we used to do in 8 hours. And that's why I think we will probably be finished in 3.5 hours, something like that. Let's start with our Turkish interpreter. Greetings.
Greetings. Greetings everyone.
Good to hear from you.
Değerli Asgardia parlamenterleri, Asgardia 2. Parlamentosu'nun 12. oturumuna hoş geldiniz. Oturumlarımızın 2. günündeyiz. Yine tercümanlarınız Eren ve Alper size Türkçe ve İngilizce eş zamanlı olarak tercüme yapacak. Türkçe tercümeyi Zoom pencerenizin alt kısmındaki küre ikonuna tıklayarak seçebilirsiniz. Söz aldığınızda tercih ettiğiniz dilde konuşmanız yeterli olacaktır. Tercümanlarınız tüm söylediklerinizi diğer dile anında çevirecektir. Hepinize verimli oturumlar dileriz. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much indeed. And as always, it is a great pleasure to and an honor to be working with you. Let's move to our Russian interpreter next. Greetings, Elena.
Hello, Mr. Opik. How are you today?
Very well, and I still feel very happy that we had that time in Dubai. It was very valuable.
Likewise. Thank you so much. Уважаемые господа парламентарии, вас приветствуют ваши русские переводчики Кирилл и Елена. Сегодня мы собрались на втором дне заседания парламента Асгардии. Это уже 12-е цифровое заседание парламента Асгардии второго созыва. Мы осуществляем перевод на синхронном языке, на русский, испанский, а также турецкий языки. И вы уже находитесь в нужном канале, так что нет необходимости переключаться. И также нет необходимости делать паузы, только мы просим вас говорить чуточку помедленнее. Это очень помогает нам точно передать все, что вы говорите. Спасибо вам большое и плодотворного вам заседания. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. One day I shall learn your language. I love the sound of it. Let's move on to our third interpreter, who has made a world trip since I met her. And I believe is back in America now. That's Liz Garriga. Liz, good to see you or hear you.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma, for that introduction. I miss you too.
We shall see each other soon, I'm sure.
Yeah. Estimados parlamentarios, bienvenidos al segundo día de esta 12ª sesión del segundo Parlamento de Asgardia. Las traducciones se harán en el idioma ruso, turco y español de forma simultánea. Tienen la opción de escuchar en su idioma de preferencia, pero el principal es en inglés. Recuerden que cuando quieran hablar no tienen que hacer pausas para la traducción, pero sí deben hablar pausado para hacer la interpretación lo mejor posible. Si tienen algún problema técnico, por favor, déjenlo saber en los mensajes. Gracias.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you to all our interpreters for the excellent job that you do. If you are speaking, please remember that we need to have interpreters, and they need to be able to translate while you speak. So please don't speak too fast. And if it's too fast, they tell me, and then I ask you to go more slowly. Right, so let me tell you, I think today's session will take about 3.5 hours, maybe a little bit less. And let me go through the agenda. Yesterday, we opened the voting, and please do vote on the agenda if you have not voted already. Very important we get a quorum. And then we have procedural issues, which we covered. I went through the agenda, some points about the sitting, and then we closed yesterday. Very helpful, and thank you very much everybody for attending. Today we start with announcements, which I'm doing now. We are going to get a report on the budget from Mark Bogan, but he asks to do it a bit later on. He said 1600, so I think this will be our last item probably. We will see. If we are ahead of schedule, then I shall ask him to arrive earlier. But I think that because of his other responsibilities today, he is asked to present at 1600, and I think we will probably close with that. I think that's my feeling. We will have a government hour to give the opportunity for any minister to speak. Obviously, we do not have a prime minister at the moment, so the ministers will introduce themselves in a moment if they wish to speak, and they are welcome to do so. After that, we go to the Asgardia Opportunities Act, second reading, proposed by Alexander Melnikov and represented by Mr. John Fine. If you vote yes on that, you're voting yes for the second reading, and it will go to third reading. If you vote no, then it goes back into the system. If you abstain, that's fine too, but please do vote one way or the other. Then we have the Asgardia Digital Content Authorization Act, second reading, again with Mr. Alexander Melnikov, represented again by John Fine. And again, in the same way, it's about the second reading. And if you agree that, we can make changes for the third reading. But if you agree, then it goes to third reading. If not, then it will not proceed without changes. Then we go to the Space Debris Mitigation and Management Act, and that's the third reading. And that's Ferda Inan's great work. If you approve that, then it goes for decree. If not, then we have to go back into the system and changes would be made. If we make any changes at all, we have to take it out of the voting and come back again. Then we continue with Ferda Inan, and that's on the Asgardia Space Traffic Management Act. And that's at third reading as well. And once again, if we approve it, then it goes for final approval. If not, then it'll need to if we make any changes, we have to make modifications. And we have the Asgardia Youth and Education Framework Act with Sabahati, and that has been going through the system for some years now, and it's a framework act, a third reading again. That's not the whole education system. I'll come to you in a minute, John. That's not the whole education system, but it's the framework for the education system. And so that's very important as well. Then at the end, after we've done, probably that will take us to around 1600 UTC, I think. Then we will end today for the simple reason that the work will have been done after Mark Bogan has given us the financial report. The financial report will be done without broadcast. So at that point, we will stop the live broadcast, just because we usually do that in private as Parliament. It's not really very secret. We just prefer to do it that way. And then the close of the second day. So that's what we're doing today. John.
Yes, I just wanted to let you know I'll be giving a presentation for Ferda's 2X2 for the committee.
Okay, it's the John Fine show today then.
Well, I'm just presenting.
That's fine.
But yeah, yeah. Okay.
That's fine. That's fine. As I say, I expect we will get through all of that between now and 1600 with one significant break. If Mark Bogan arrives earlier and we're ahead of schedule, then we will finish earlier as well. Remember again, we are so much quicker because we have simultaneous translation. We're not doing less, we're doing more with the same amount of time. Okay, any other questions about the agenda before I allow any minister, if they wish to make a point or comment on the government tower? This isn't structured in a formal way because I am not the Prime Minister, but it's very important that we realise that thanks to Bendel, who made this analysis, and together with John Fine and others, the government continues even though we have not got a Prime Minister, because the circumstances mean the government did not end when the Prime Minister left. There are some situations where that happens, where the government ends when the Prime Minister leaves. We are not in that situation, so the ministers are still in place. Okay, let me invite any of the ministers, if they wish to make any comment. Jacob's raised his real hand. I thought you would. You looked like you were going to say something. Over to you, Jacob.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, I don't have a presentation or something, but I just wanted to confirm that a few sessions ago, during the parliamentary question and answer sessions on Thursday evenings, Benedetto and myself introduced the 5-year mission with Benedetto's presentation on it and our request on the groups. And the idea is to come up with the first tangible steps to prepare humanity for living and working in space. And the information on that was sent to all of Parliament and all ministers. And like Benedetto said at the moment, first we should confirm the political function of those combinations of ministries and parliamentary committees, and then confirm that it costs resources, people, time, money, to execute such a mission. And so we send out homework to everybody, asking you whether you accept the challenge, whether you confirm that your political function in that, and come up with goals and confirm that you'll eventually be able to deliver resources for those. And the idea is then, if you have that, a few already have done their homework, please send it to Benedetto and to myself. And Benedetto being the chair of the Parliamentary Committee of Manufacturing, and myself being the Minister of Manufacturing. It's not a manufacturing thing, it's a 5-year mission for, at least in our vision, it's a 5-year mission for Asgardia for the coming 5 years. So it's quite something. So please, if you didn't, then please try to find the documentation and do your homework, send information to us, and we'll be on our way. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And this is a very good initiative. 2026, this year, which is the 10th year of Asgardia's existence. So year 10 in Asgardia's calendar is the year that we have to deliver major actions. And I'm very grateful for the work that Benedetto and Jacob in particular are doing. Really valuable work. So please do follow what Jacob was asking, and we will all be in a better position if we take that challenge. Any questions to Jacob before I invite any other ministers to contribute? Okay, thank you. And good work, Jacob. Jacob has actually got a vested interest here. He wants to live in space. So the more we do, the more likely he is to achieve that goal.
Yeah, the idea is that you all will try to help me go to space and live in space in some 10 to 15 years from now. I'm in a reclining electric wheelchair. I'm lying flat. So I want to get rid of gravity. So I really want to emigrate to space in 10, 15 years from now. So I do have a very personal interest in all of this.
There is a political party in the United Kingdom called the Monster Raving Loony Rock Cavern Party. And one of their candidates calls himself Nick the Flying Brick. And one of his manifesto commitments is to abolish gravity.
I'll join that party.
I was invited to join that party about 12 years ago, and they wanted to put a huge bet on it, and then I would join and then we'd win. But that's illegal, so I didn't do it. Thank you very much. Anybody else from the ministerial team wish to make any comment? I'll take this opportunity to remind you again, as we go along, please do vote for the agenda or against it if you want to, but please do vote. We need to get that quorum. Very important we have the quorum. And so that's 50 members of Parliament plus one. Really important that we have that. Okay, thank you. Let's move to the first piece of legislation then. Thank you very much, Jakob and team. And remember, we will speak with Mark Bogan later once we've finished, probably with the legislation. So the first item of legislation is the Asgardia Opportunities Act, and that's the second reading. This is proposed by Mr. Alexander Melnikov, but John Fine is representing this excellent work. So, John, let me hand over to you, and you can explain the context, and I'm sure you'll have a presentation. So, over to you, John.
Thank you, Lambert. Yes, of course, I've got a presentation that explains everything in quality detail. Let's make sure I get the right share here.
While you're doing that, let me invite those around the world who are watching to become a resident of Asgardia. It's €100, and we seek to have a peaceful space, maybe a very important day to remind us that human beings can get on peacefully, as peaceful society and space. And it's €100 to be a member, to be a resident of Asgardia. So please do join. Go to Asgardia Space Nation, and you'll find all the details there.
Okay,
John, back to you.
You see the...
Yes, we do.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
Now it should be just the big part, right?
We can see esteemed colleagues this presentation covers. That's what it says. But we can see presenters' notes now.
Oh, you're seeing the presenter notes. You
Yeah.
shouldn't be able to see that. Okay, that's wrong. Let's see.
It's not the right screen, as Benedetto says.
How about... Oh, did I lose my share?
You've stopped sharing, yes.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let's try this again.
While John's doing that, once again, John's doing a lot of talking today, but please, colleagues, I invite you to do two things. Please vote on the legislation as we go along. We do need to have 50% plus one voting. And also, very important, that we vote to achieve that quorum, because we need 50% plus one of AMPs to vote to make the votes relevant, to make them count. John, you look worried.
No. Okay. Am I sharing yet?
You're seeing a screen, but there's no wording.
Is it a blue screen?
Blue screen, yeah.
Okay. That should work. Hold on. Now you should see the presentation.
We can. Asgardia Opportunity Act.
Okay.
Second reading.
Got it. I only have to go through this once. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out this new system. Here we go. Esteemed colleagues, this presentation covers the second reading of the Asgardia Opportunity Act, advanced through Apache Packet 3. This presentation is a summary of the Act. Members are encouraged to review the full text in the session documents. The Opportunity Act establishes a structured digital employment platform for Asgardian residents. Its purpose is to create lawful digital work opportunities, generated income for residents and the state, support trade and commerce, and strengthen Asgardia's economic sovereignty through the use of the solar currency. This act operates pursuant to the Constitution of Asgardia and is enacted under the authority of the Corporations and Enterprise Act and the E-Commerce Act, which are already standing law in Asgardia. It functions as an enabling and regulatory framework that authorizes structured digital labor while remaining harmonized with Asgardia's broader legal system. Participation under this act is limited to Asgardia residents, entities, and authorized government agencies. Participation is entirely voluntary, and individuals become subject to the act only upon choosing to engage with the program. The act authorizes the creation of a digital employment platform through which work packages are issued. These packages are categorized into micro, meso, and macro levels, allowing participation across a wide range of skills, capacities, and project scales. All work packages are contractual in nature and governed by the Asgardia Contracts Act. Compensation for completed work is paid in solar, directly to the resident's digital wallet, reinforcing digital labor, economic participation, and internal currency circulation. The Ministry of Trade and Commerce serves as the lead authority for platform management in coordination with relevant ministries and agencies. Oversight mechanisms include quarterly updates, annual financial reporting, and public transparency requirements. The Act establishes strong data protection safeguards, including encryption, anonymization, access controls, regular audits, and user consent. All data handling must comply with Asgardia's information, safety, and cybersecurity laws. Any disputes arising under the Act are resolved through alternative dispute resolution mechanisms, where possible, and through the Asgardia judiciary where necessary. Remedies are handled within established legal frameworks. In summary, the Opportunity Act enables a lawful, voluntary digital employment system designed to support residents, stimulate trade and commerce, and strengthen Asgardia's economy. It provides clear authority, contractual safeguards, privacy protections, and oversight mechanisms while remaining fully aligned with Asgardia's legal structures. This concludes the second reading summary. Members are encouraged, again, to review the full act in the session documents. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. As usual, a very good presentation. A couple of questions. Others may comment as well. Just a few things. Peter Morn isn't able to stay with us because of his son's health, and I have passed on our best wishes to Peter and his son, and our thoughts are with him. Family must always come first. Secondly, understand that Jakob also has a commitment. Do feel free to come and go as you wish. This is not it's not a prison camp. It's a voluntary collection of great minds, made all the greater when you're here, Jakob. So just feel free to go when you need to. Regular viewers know that for the chair meeting on Thursdays, I'm almost always picking up little Angelina. So I completely accept that you have to do what you need to do. So I've got a couple of questions for you, John, with this.
Sure.
The first question is, if this bill is enacted, what will be the measurable difference to Asgardia? What changes? What improves?
Well, what improves is it gives both Asgardian residents, communities, ministries, excuse me, and businesses a channel that they can use easily to conduct small little businesses. And the main thing is it gets our solar circulating. It gets, let's say like Cheryl, the Minister of Culture, and let's say she has a project that requires research. And so she creates a packet for 3 researchers, and she puts it, of course, there'll have to be some kind of, and Ben Dale has already established a website, I think, that will work for this. He announced it during during the Executive Congress. It's not Asgardia.trade. Actually, I can't remember the actual name of it, but it goes along with Asgardia.trade. And I think, Asgardia.work, I think is what it's called. And I think that he can manage it under there, and that's where they can actually put the packages for people to go in and apply for. So Cheryl puts in 3 packages, I don't know, 50 solar a piece, 10 solar a piece, whatever, for these research assistants. And then Asgardians and whoever, anybody in Asgardia can apply for those packages. And then once they receive it, they do the work. And once the work is completed and Cheryl's satisfied with the work completed, she lets Ben Dale know, and then that resident is sent. She authorizes the 10 solar, because now Cheryl would have to pay that 10 solar. That would have to come out of her budget. And she could put in a budget for this as a minister, you know, and she could set aside, she could request for the HON, and this is how everybody becomes active, because she can request from the HON $100 or €100 or 100 solar budget for this purpose, and she creates these micro little jobs that people can apply for. And now you got Asgardia residents earning money, you got the solar being circulated, and you got trade and commerce being strengthened within our economy. And this is actually one of the ways that economies grow. And it has to have that circulation. This is why the United States has such a huge economy itself, because it has massive circulation all over the world. So, and in order for Asgardia to get that in circulation, then we need to start creating something that will actually focus on circulating that flow process. And that's what this act does. It gives us a mechanism to do that. Within Asgardia, of course, but it can stretch into other avenues through businesses, through Asgardia businesses. They can apply for packages, or they can create packages for people to do as well. So and a lot of those businesses not only operate within Asgardia, but they also operate on the outside. So this is kind of a link to the outside as well. But yeah, it just gets our solar circulating like it's supposed to be. That's the main advantage. Sorry.
Thank you. I have changed my headset. I was told that the sound was muffled. Hopefully, it is better now. So let me know if if the interpreters cannot hear me properly. Thank you, John. It has always been an interesting phenomenon, in my view, that wealth starts from nothing and is created in a way from nothing into something. The service industries are a good example where people just do things and wealth happens. The property world is a strange one because if somebody tells you a house is worth $1 million, it is worth $1 million. The same house could be worth $100,000 or $10 million. It's a perceived value, and so that's interesting. And I think that we have to get the economy going and turning over millions of solars quickly because we can. The intelligence is here to do this. Second question for me. I don't see a proactive aspect in the legislation to implement this, and that's fine because it's legislation. It's not some kind of a strategy work plan. How do you see this happening? Do you think there is a way that if this gets passed, that we can actually get the energy behind this so that it works effectively?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it all depends on whether or not people want to respond. And, this is just a tool. It's a tool to allow people an easy way to respond in the system. But tools are only good when you use them, and that goes with anything. It's just like it goes within, like, you can create a committee, but that committee is worthless if nobody in that committee does anything. You can create a space nation, but if nobody in that space nation wants to do anything, then that space nation is worthless. The worth comes from those within that organization that want to create wealth within that organization. So that's where you get your worth. So it depends on the individual, whether or not. That's why I made it voluntary. And the next act that I'm introducing actually is one way to try to get this Asgardia behind it and motivated behind it, because it's actually one of the Opportunity Act is the big program, but this is a smaller program that actually Asgardia Media could use, or the HON could use, or Parliament could use it. Any of our organizations could use as one of their projects. It's created in that nature. So it gets the ball rolling. That's the whole purpose for it, was to get the ball rolling, and it gives people a way to do that, which you'll see in the next presentation. But it all boils down to the individuals. It's like, I'm the chair of the LMRG, but if I choose not to participate in that and just not really do anything in it, it's that LMRG is worthless. You're the chair of parliament. And if you just kind of like shrug your shoulder and say, yeah, I'll get to it when I can, well, then, that would be a worthless part of Asgardia. So it boils down to individuals and whether or not they want to involve themselves. And from what I can tell, there has been plenty of people, especially in Parliament, that want to involve themselves in things. Uger, Ricky, Sarah, I mean, the list just goes on and on. But they never had a tool to use to do that. Well, this gives them that tool. And I'm sure that those people are already trying to do some creative thinking and how they can use this to their benefit. And that's how it's going to work. So, yeah, I do see it going forward because we do have a lot of people that want to create opportunity with it. I mean, I'll use an example, Uger, for example. He does this where his committee does uh, copyright, and he copyrights things for the digital library. And then he does it for a micro reward. And his program set up so that that reward goes into one of the functions that Asgardia is currently overseeing. Like I think is the child born in space initiative where we're donating money into that. And so what happens is he says, okay, I'll digitize your product, and for me doing that work, you give me it's either 5 solar or 10, I can't remember, and I'll put that into the fund, into the child fund, I think it's called. And so right there, that's circulation of Asgardia's money. So, and you can upload money. I believe you can upload money to your digital wallet. I'm not sure about that one. We should be able to, but you might want to verify that part there. I don't know if we can upload money to our digital wallet or not, but it should be a function we should be able to do. But anyway, the and this gets money flowing within our economy, and that helps over time. And you might start out small, but it can grow into something much larger, which is the way all economies work. So yes, I do see people trying to put their effort forward. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a very comprehensive answer. I actually realized that I could use this to help with the work that I do. That's really good. Thank you. Sarah's next.
Thank you, John. As one who works on the finance committee, I really, really, really appreciate all of your efforts. And not to spoil my homework, and I'm sorry that Jakob is gone, but Benedetto is here. What I thought was going to be a very simple assignment has bloomed basically into outlining an ecosystem that helps remove the pain points, one of which John mentioned just a few moments ago, which is the use of the wallet. And excuse me, what I think that we have done with like in manufacturing, with trade and commerce, with the creation of Asgardia.work, Asgardia.trade, and with the introduction and what I hope is the passing of this Opportunities Act, we are laying the foundation for what John very eloquently put as a basically a self-sustaining financial ecosystem, which allows for a layer of trust and the movement of money within Asgardia. And without getting bogged down, I just want to say that I think this is amazing. Uger as well. So I think that this is an amazing cross-committee initiative that really can help the flow of solars. And as the chair of the finance committee, I absolutely support the act.
That's great news. I know you're going to get more and more busy. If we're successful, the irony is you get really busy. If the economy doesn't do anything, you don't have to do so much. If the economy is busy, you'll be asked questions all the time. Look how hard Ada's working there, for example, at the moment. Is that not Ada? That is great. John, you seem to be getting good praise there from the chair of finance.
Yes, and the chair of finance has been so cooperative, especially with the LMRG and our committee. We certainly enjoy working with her whenever that opportunity comes because she's very collaborative and very cooperative, and I do appreciate her comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's now go to anybody else who'd like to make a comment on this piece of legislation. Okay, thanks. I'll let you summarize, John, if there's anything else you want to say.
Vote for the act. Vote yes.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and I want to give credit to Alexander for coming up with this idea. He was the original author, and he has stuck with it through the whole process. He has stayed informed. He has been a part of it. He was a part of it during the LMRG as well. So I definitely want to give credit where credit's due. He did a great job on this one and the next one. They were both his thought childs. So congratulations, Alexander, for your efforts. Thank you.
That is great. Thank you, John. And let me summarize. If you agree with what you've heard, this is the second reading, and you think that the legislation should be pursued, please vote yes. And that will be great news for John and for Alexander. If you don't agree, then you can vote no. If you are not sure, please still vote, but abstain. So that's what you have to do. That's the second reading of the Asgardia Opportunities Act, and something which has been shown to potentially work already by people who have applied that idea. All you have to do is vote yes, no, or I don't know. And that will be your opportunity, and I suggest you vote now if you can. I also please ask you to vote for the agenda if you have not, but you can vote for this one as well. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to the next one. After the next one, we'll have a short 10-minute break, just briefly. And this one is also from Alexander Melnikov, also presented by John Fine. And this is the Asgardia Digital Content Authorization Act, second reading. Now, this subject has been discussed a lot in British Parliament, and the technology moves more quickly than legislation a lot of the time. So trying to keep up with it is difficult, and the challenge is to create legislation that stays up to date, that anticipates the future in a strategic way. And I think that's hard, because if somebody comes up with completely new technology, what do we do? But we can only do our best in the circumstances we have. It's impossible. It would have been impossible to have an internet act 100 years ago. Just couldn't be done. Didn't exist. Or maybe you could have had some kind of an aviation act 200 years ago, but it would have been very difficult without knowing what we were regulating. So there are those limitations. The technology is moving fast, and but anyway, John, over to you again. And we will be hearing a lot from John, but John, his empire building magic is super helpful. John runs a Legislative Merit Review Group, LMRG, which is one reason he's so involved in legislation. He does there as well. And so it's not surprising John is so heavily involved in legislation. So over to you again, John.
Thank you, Lemon. I wanted to comment on one of the things you said, how it's very hard to keep legislation up to date to changing environments. And the comment I want to make is that a practice that we have adopted in the LMRG is actually a model, and we call it the Mark Beer Legislative Review Model. And because one of the things, Mark Beer, of course, being the Minister of Justice, one of the things that Mark Beer is very keen on when he evaluates legislation is it has to be future oriented, okay, and it has to be future proofed, and so and that is part of our model system that we created within the LMRG, is to make sure that we try to put that future proof into each act that comes through. So, and that's one way that we are trying to address that problem. It is, and will we get it perfect? No, of course not. But I think that Asgardia is doing an outstanding job, and I've actually had people tell me that some of our legislation outshines some of the stuff that the world is still quibbling over, we've already solved here in Asgardia. So, and that's a good thing. So, and not to give ourselves a pat on the back, but it just shows that we are trying to move in the right direction. Anyway, I will go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully, I get it right this time. I think I will. Okay, everybody should see the blue screen.
Yeah, we see the blue screen. We need more, John.
Well, you're going to get more right now. There you go. Okay, how's that?
That's better, John.
Okay.
Thank you. You never disappoint.
Esteemed colleagues, this presentation covers the second reading of the Asgardia Digital Content Authorization Act, advanced through Apogee Packet number 4. This presentation is a summary of the Act. Members are encouraged to review the full text in the session documents. The purpose of this Act is to establish a national program that incentivizes and rewards Asgardian residents for creating and sharing digital content that advances Asgardia's brand, values, and projects. It is designed to increase resident engagement, retention, patriotism, and economic participation. The Act is enacted pursuant to the Constitution of Asgardia and operates under the authority of the Corporations and Enterprise Act and the E-Commerce Act. It functions as an enabling framework that authorizes structured digital participation while remaining harmonized with Asgardia's legal system. Participation in the digital content program is entirely voluntary. No resident is obligated to participate, and obligations arise only if and when participation becomes contractual in nature. The Act authorizes government agencies to implement micro rewards digital content initiatives. These initiatives allow residents to create and submit promotional content through approved digital platforms in exchange for defined rewards. Original digital content that is utilized to advance Asgardia may earn the creator a micro reward. Rewards are issued in Solar and credited to the resident's digital wallet, reinforcing participation in Asgardia's internal digital economy. Participating government agencies define objectives, guidelines, incentives, and tools for content creation within approved resources. The program includes structured reporting, annual summaries, and regular reviews to ensure transparency and effectiveness. The Act establishes feedback mechanisms that allow residents to provide input on the program and suggest improvements. Feedback is collected, reviewed, and incorporated through transparent reporting and regular system updates. The Act authorizes limited tracking of content performance using aggregated and anonymized data. Tracking is intended solely to improve program effectiveness and does not override privacy protections or resident consent. Any disputes arising under this Act are addressed through alternative dispute resolution where possible and through the Asgardia judiciary where necessary. Remedies are handled within established legal frameworks. In summary, the Digital Content Authorization Act enables a voluntary, transparent system that rewards residents for contributing to Asgardia's digital presence. It strengthens engagement, supports the solar economy, preserves resident choice, and includes oversight, feedback, and legal safeguards. This concludes the second reading summary. Members are encouraged to review the full Act in the session documents. And ready for questions or answers. And that's it.
John, thank you very much. That's remarkable. Fascinating. John, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
That's very good. Nicely
Thank
put.
you. Thank you.
You just
I thought you were going to say something after that.
Yeah. Yes, but try harder. That's easy to translate. It's very good. Can you just put the feedback slide up again, please? I just want to ask you something on this.
Yeah, hold on.
If you haven't voted, please do vote. You need to get the vote. I'm told the headset's better than the other one, so apologies that you did not hear me before. Yeah, just keep the slides up for a minute.
Which one do you say?
Pardon?
Feedback and program and
Yeah, right. One of the problems with feedback is it's never ending. And the question is, I agree. I mean, I continue. In my old company, Procter and Gamble, we were very committed to continuous improvement. But the question I'm asking is related to what I said before. This particular area is continuously evolving, and AI is so smart that it could actually out-evolve our ability to even understand what's going on. Is there a danger that this feedback loop could become almost a problem? Because when you make an aircraft wing, you can keep making it more efficient. You just have to one day say, okay, this is good enough now. How do you stop the feedback loop becoming a continuous loop. I'll tell you a story. In 1989, I was working for this massive American company, Procter & Gamble, and I switched my computer off while a program called Express was operating. And the next day I came in and my computer was very slow. Everybody's computer was very slow. So I called a man called Jim Coombs, who was in charge of fixing things like this. He came up to the office and spent 1 hour or 2 hours trying to fix it. In the end, he got up and said, "Congratulations, you're the first person to wreck the system." And what I'd done was I'd switched it off mid-calculation. And overnight, it had taken more and more memory trying to do this calculation in a feedback loop, basically. And by the time Jim Coombs came to my office, my computer's program was using 95% of all of the memory in the whole of Europe. And they had to reset it. It was one of the most embarrassing things I ever did in the company. Is there a possibility that the feedback loop will create almost paranoia that we can't go forward in case something else happens? I say this because I watch quite a lot about technical evolution, and that's a big issue. That we're almost at the point, maybe we are at the point where the systems can upgrade themselves so fast that we can't keep up. It's a technical question, but and you may not have an answer, but I'd like to ask
I do
it.
have an answer. First off, I disagree with you that AI being so smart that it may outpace us. Okay, I've been using AI for a while now, and I can definitely tell you AI is stupid. Okay, it does a lot of stupid things, and I'm starting to think that they program that in there intentionally so that AI doesn't become smart. But an AI is just an extension of who we are. It's not, it will never advance any further than what we allow it. So I'm not one of these to believe that AI is going to take over the world and all of that. And now, I mean, I regularly use AI on a constant daily basis. And like I'm talking to you right now, I talk to AI this way. And it makes a lot of illogical decisions, stupid decisions, and it has lousy memory. Okay, and it has personality conflicts, and it has multiple personalities. 1 minute you're talking to one kind of personality, next minute you're talking to an entirely different one, and that one has no clue what the other one said. So, and this is just some of the things, the patterns that I've started noticing in AI. Uh, uh, but that being said, of course, there can be mechanisms put into place to ensure that the feedback is done at a responsible level, and you know, and we'll make sure we put the lambic opic safeguard in there so that nobody do something that that's creative will ever do it again. But yeah, and you know I've always liked the feedback process, and people do too. And one of the things that our Constitution instills within it is that Asgardia people always have a voice, and so and that's what the feedback's for, is to give them that voice. And so that's actually constitutional. That's why that was put in, because it's actually part of our Constitution that everybody has a voice. That it's not just one person gets to speak or one person gets to this or one person. Everybody's treated equal in Asgardia. There, you know, it don't matter where you're from. It don't matter what position you hold. Everybody's given that equal opportunity regardless. And that's one of the reasons I joined Asgardia, because the world that we live in right now, it's not that way. They build all these dadgum uh, groups and they favor the fortune, or they favor this, or they favor that, or this political party, or that political, and everybody else is left to fend for themselves. But Asgardia doesn't do that, and so that was actually the objective behind putting the feedback in there, was to keep lockstep with the Constitution. But being that Minister Dale is as good as he is when at managing things, I'm sure if there's a problem arise in the feedback system, that he can address it accordingly. I have no doubt about that. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Thanks, John. Okay. Right. Anybody else want to ask any questions about this? I think it's quite a technical project, this piece of legislation. And also, I'm intimidated by it because I'm not that good at tech, as some people will know. It's only because I didn't grow up with it. I watched my 5-year-old, my 8-year-old, and they're really, really good. It's just really it's really great to see young people being able to do it, but they mustn't lose their people skills in the process. The thing is, from my point of view, I find the people skills easier than the technical skills. So I suppose I find this piece of legislation a bit intimidating because it addresses a subject that I don't completely understand. I do a lot of broadcasting, and there are things in broadcasting which I hear about, things like coding and scheduling systems, and I don't even know what they are. And so I just worry I'm going to get left behind by technical society. But John, you're a younger man. You have the whole future ahead of you, so you don't find this so difficult.
I think I'm older than you.
You are actually, yes, that is true. You just
Even
don't
though
look it.
even though you've got old man hair, I'm older. I'm sorry.
And Janina said, when we were walking in London last weekend, he said, "Why are you as old as a granddaddy?" And I replied by saying, "If I hadn't had you, you wouldn't exist." I said, "Somebody else might exist, but it wouldn't be you." And then she was very thoughtful. But basically, I said, it's basically take it or leave it. Right. Anybody else with any questions here? Comments? Are you going to give John and Alexander an easy ride?
Oh, they said plenty last session.
They did say plenty last session,
Yes,
actually.
yeah.
That is true.
Yeah. And we met all those concerns, by the way, to let everybody know. And they were good. They were good observations. I'll put that foot forward. Stuff that we had missed, and I know Ricky made some. Ariani made some.
Ariadne.
Ariadne. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just
that
it's
name gets
pronounced
me.
as
That name gets me every time.
it's very easy. You just read it the way it's spelled, Ariadne.
Ariadne. But and so that right there shows you how feedback is a good thing. And I will tell you, in the LMRG, we want that feedback. And in the Trade and Commerce Committee, we want that feedback because that helps improve our work. Don't never be afraid to give us feedback like it's going to be uh, too stupid of an ideal or anything like that, because even the simplest ideal can turn into a great ideal. It depends on, because everybody thinks differently and everybody sees things differently, and that's the great thing about Asgardia, is we decide to embrace that instead of run away from it like a lot of the world does. We decide to embrace that indifference. So um, I definitely in the LMRG, I want that feedback, and within the trade and commerce, I want that feedback. So yeah, and I appreciate it, and wholeheartedly, even though I may not say it all the time, I appreciate every feedback I get, and I document it in the LMRG. If you make a feedback, it's documented and it's put in the library. So there's document evidence on it. So yes. Okay.
Well, you're going to get feedback from Ariadne. Now, it might simply be complaining about your inability to say her name. Ariadne, how are you?
Well, I've been doing that for the last 10 years, so she should get used to it by now.
Ariadne. Ariadne.
Ariadne.
I
Well
don't know.
done.
You need to talk with the Greeks because the name is from there. I'm Mexican. Well, John Fine, thank you because I put the photographer Alexander, and he says it took 8 years to develop it. I proposed the initial structure as a proposal in 28, and then only 2025, with John helps, we created this pull-ups. Thank you, John. You did an amazing job. And I don't know if Alexander can talk something about it, but I like it so much. I vote positive for those proposals, and my congratulations to the group. And you're right, you'll find when you said maybe we don't have the right words or the right spelling sometimes. My apologies for the other day when I thanked you a massage. It's a really, really difficult word to spell into me. Sorry. But the best thing is don't feel ashamed that you say it. And do you understand what I mean, what I'm saying? Eh, Ahora lo voy a decir en español. Gracias, Carol
Now I'm going
Console.
to say it in Spanish. Thank you, Carol.
Mi comentario respecto
When
a
I
cuando
read
hablaste,
that,
no sé si viste el
in
correo,
regards to, I don't know if you saw the
pero
email.
cuando hablas del ministro Jacob Mulder
When you talk about
y
Jacob
cuando
Mueller, the
hablas
minister Jacob Mueller,
de Benedetto Profeso y
and about
colocas
Benedetto
unos
Proceso,
muñequitos de
and you put those
inteligencia artificial, bien merece
AI
que
created
ellos aparezcan en fotografías reales
images
en ese lugar de tu PDF,
that makes them
porque es
to
la
appear
historia
in
que
that
estamos creando, que
face.
estamos sembrando.
And that's
Y
what we are
cuando
planting
los
and creating
futuros
now.
parlamentarios lleguen a
When
ese
the future
documento en
AMCs
la Space
get
Library,
to
van a
that
decir, bueno,
moment
¿quiénes
in
eran
future,
ellos? ¿Por qué no aparecen
and when
sus
they're in
fotos
space,
reales?
they're going to
Solo
wonder
era
who
eso.
were they,
Todo lo demás es muy
why don't they
bonito que
have
pongas esas
their
muchísima
actual
empleos,
pictures.
ese tipo de diseños para hacer
And
mis
sometimes I
videos.
also
Y
use those designs
por
to
ahí
make
tengo una
my
sorpresa, pero
videos.
todavía no les
And I
puedo
actually
decir nada.
have a
Y yo quisiera
surprise that
que
I
pues lo
will
tomaras
disclose
como
later. I can't
un
say
pequeño
anything right
consejo.
now.
Y ya veo que le
But
das
that's
tu mano a
my advice.
Alexander y me da un gusto enorme. Bueno, aquí lo dejo. Gracias.
And well, that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ariadne. You have now provoked Alexander Melnikov himself to talking. It's interesting, John. You have trouble saying Ariadne, but you have no trouble saying. It's far more complicated, John.
Well, I have actually got Russian roots, so that's probably why I can say his name better.
So you're closer to Eurasia than to South America.
Yes.
Well, let's hear from Alexander. Greetings, sir, and thank you for all the work you're doing.
Всем привет. Хотел бы со всеми поздороваться и сказать, как я благодарен за ту
Hello,
работу, которую проделал
everyone.
Джон.
Greetings, and I'm very grateful for the work John has done
Я очень
working on our
доволен
legislation.
результатами, то, что
I'm
теперь
very
у нас
happy
есть.
to see the results we have,
Это основа нашей цифровой экономики. Я в
and
этом
this is the
уверен.
basis of our digital economy, I'm
Я
sure.
хотел бы
And I'd
вкратце
like
также сказать, что
to
у этих
also
законов
briefly
много
note the fact that these laws have bigger potential than we can even imagine, because based on these laws, we can put in life many digital projects that can build our residency and the economy as well. I have several projects aimed at using those laws as a basis. And I think people, outsiders, would be very curious to participate in these projects. And within the framework of these laws, they will be working with us and advancing our economy based on these laws. And we'll be using solars, and solars will be generating other solars, and also people, those who will be interested in becoming residents. Everything's very simple. Thank you so much. That's it.
Alexander. And
Spasiba. That's my one Russian word I know. Spasiba. Oh, we can't hear you, Lambert.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, yes.
Right, thank you for saying why. If it carries on being a problem, I will swap computers. Tell me if there is any further problem. I'm wearing the headset because I got feedback from the interpreters that my voice was not very clear. This is a good headset, so the other computer.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out.
Yeah, hold on. Wait a minute. John, is there anything?
Well, I just want to thank Alexander for his comments again, and thank him for his initial work on these two acts, bringing them forward. I believe it or not, I saw potential in these acts from the first day that he submitted them, and I was like, yeah, these two acts have got teeth, and they can really do some good to Asgardia. Now, it's taken us some time to get there, but we've finally gotten to where they need to be. So I know Alexander will be as happy as I am to see these things move forward. I ask that everybody please vote yes. And I think that these have a very strong potential of helping Asgardia. And at the very least, they give Asgardians a tool in which they can help Asgardia with. And like I said before, a tool's only as good as those who use it. So it's just like back in the British days, a knight was only as good as the sword that he yielded, but that sword was worthless if the knight didn't know how to use it. So, but I say knights because knights were often thought of as something grand thing. At least that's where they're portrayed today. I think that's the way they were portrayed back then. But the whole King Arthur and Knights at the Round Table stuff. We all kind of like those stories. But anyway, I look very forward to seeing these two pieces of legislation pass. And yeah, and I want to thank everybody because I'm going to say that we had a lot of interaction on these acts over the years. There's been many voices who have repeatedly supplied feedback on these acts over the years. So, and I want to thank all of them. There's no way I could sit here and name them all off. Some of them are no longer even in Asgardia. So, but because these two instruments have been around a while. But yeah, I think the ACE Act will still have the longest running time on it, but this one's probably next to it. These two are probably next to it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, John. Anybody else on this legislation? First of all, can you hear me better now or not? John, can you hear me?
Yes, you're great.
Okay, I think there was a setting problem. Let me know if you don't hear me, and then I will modify things again. I think the computer was scavenging between different bits of my system to try and get better. Right. Okay. Anybody else to
I was Uger says I say his name wrong, and I do. And he taught me how to say it in the Executive Congress. I say Uger. I think it's. I'm sorry, Uger. But he did teach me. He took the time to teach me how to say his name, and I'm still getting it wrong. But I love to death. So don't get me wrong. And don't worry. I mispronounced my wife's name uh, for about 2 years before I got it down. So and hers is a simple name, and I mispronounced guys at work. It's a thing with me. I've always had a time with names, but. I like faces better. I remember the face better than I do the names. That's probably why I didn't make it as a school teacher because I never could learn the names. But yeah, anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. Oh, we lost you again. There you. No, no.
now?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
And we're going to have a minute. And we're having a break. I will clean everything and try to make sure it works. Thank you, John. I'm sure it's just a funny connection. Does anybody else have anything they want to say about this legislation before we take a break, which I need for my equipment? Okay, thank you, everybody. You're watching Asgardia's Digital Parliament. Please do vote yes if you agree with what you have heard about this legislation. Vote no if you disagree, and abstain if you don't know. Please do vote and take this chance to vote for the agenda. The first vote, cast your vote on the agenda on the first documentation, and which is, hang on, I've got so many screens open here. Yeah, Asgardia Opportunities Act, second reading. Please cast your vote in the Asgardia Digital Content Authorization Act, second reading. We're going to take a 10-minute break. Please do cast your vote for all of those, or against if you want, but please vote. I want to make sure that we have the quorum. So it's 14:22 UTC. We'll start at 15:22. There is always a temptation to make everything to the round zero, but you can get into space in 9 minutes, not 10. So we'll use the actual timings. So 14:23, we'll be back. Now I'll keep my system open, but I'll put my camera off. So 14:23, and I hope you'll be able to hear me 100% when we all get back.
Wait, excuse me. We're breaking for an hour?
No, we're breaking for 10 minutes. It's 14:23 UTC, and it's going to be 14:33 when we get back. Yeah. Did I say 15:23?
I don't know what I thought I heard. I was like, an hour break.
No,
Okay,
no. 14:23 now, and it'll be 14:33 when we continue. So I maybe said it wrong. So sorry. It's just 10 minutes. 10 minutes. That many minutes. 10 fingers. 10 minutes. So 14:30.
is that just monetized for him, or is that monetized for Asgardia? Is
Yes,
it a split?
yes. That's the trouble with the YouTube programs because the environment from YouTube is for created money, but not solars. We need to create a link with them
Well, it's not so much
already
in
in the future.
solars. What I'm getting at is there a split on any monetization between the creator and Asgardia TV to put to our coffers.
Right. Like
Yes.
what he's talking about in the same relation to like Star Shop. Star Shop, a certain percentage goes to back to Asgardia. So
Right.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. Rhea might know if she can ask Ben if he knows, but or you could just ask
So
the
that's been one of our biggest
Minister
downfalls
of Information and
with
Communication.
with with the first Asgardia TV under Shoemaker. That was one of the biggest downfalls. It never got the programming wasn't set up to where it was more like a TV station with commercials that were paying for slots and stuff. You know, it's just anyway. Enough said.
Let's get back to work. Thanks very much, everybody. We're doing well. We've done 2 out of 5 bits of legislation, and I expect we will be on time for around 1600 for the final item today, which will be the budget report. But let's just see how we go. At 1600 UTC, wherever we are, well, at a sensible point, we'll break for the budget report. I should also explain the reason the Asgardia Antarctica Territory Act is not on the bill today is because, as I said yesterday, it's become really complicated, and I am personally being very involved in this now. Been working with Head of Nation, who really cares about this. How about that? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Is that any better?
Yes. I mean, it's a little bit of a echo, but you sound good.
Well, there will be an echo because I'm not using a headset. I'll work on it again. I'll see if I can make it work better. Apologies. But this is how I started today. Let's just see. I clearly there's a small issue here. Maybe I'll change computer. But basically, just to say, the Antarctica Act is a very big deal, and I apologize because we have not gone further with it. I guess I need to find a really good way forward. It's very complicated. That's the reason why it's taken time. Let me just get to you this way. Is there an echo now? Can you hear any echo, John?
Yeah, just a little bit. No, not an echo, but
No.
Okay.
I don't know what you call it. Sort of like you're in a box.
Yeah. Well. Okay. Thank you for that. I'll see what I can do about it after this. After the next item, during the next item. Just to say, then, with the Antarctica Act, we need to do more work. We might have a special session about that once it's ready. It's a very important piece of work. So thank you for your patience with that. It's very important that we get that right and quickly. It's really, after the digital sitting, it's my number 1 priority to help to make that into a really good piece of legislation. And so that's what I'll be working on. Okay, so we've done the Asgardia Opportunities Act, and we've done the Asgardia Digital Content Authorization Act. Let's move on to the next one, and that is, sorry, I'm just going through it. The next act, John, you've got it again. Let me just go to it. Sorry. My screen jumped. My apologies. 1 minute. So yeah, we've done the Opportunities Act, and we've done the Digital Content Authorization Act. Let's move on to the Space Debris Mitigation and Management Act, 3rd reading. And I think, John, you've tried to take control of everything, so it's back to you.
Now, you use the improper wording there. I volunteered to do the presentations. So
that is fine. That is great with me.
That's a better wording.
Yes, but that's funny. While you're doing this, I'm going to try and reset my sound. I'll hear you, but you won't be able to hear me. So let me wait until you've got your presentation live, and then I'll see if I can deal with this echo.
All right, everybody should see the initial.
The blue, we can see the blue thing.
Blue, and now you should see
yes,
the full.
we can see the Space Debris Mitigation and Management Act. Yes, we can.
Okay. The Foreign Affairs Committee presents the Asgardia Space Debris Mitigation and Management Act, Apache Packet Number 1, third reading. Honorable members of Parliament, today we present the Space Debris Mitigation and Management Act for its third and final reading. This legislation establishes a structured, enforceable framework to protect the long-term sustainability of orbital space and to position Asgardia as a responsible spacefaring nation. Earth's orbital environment is becoming increasingly congested. Thousands of operational satellites now share space with millions of debris fragments. Even a fragment as small as 1 centimeter can disable a spacecraft. Without disciplined governance, collision cascades become more probable. Sustainability becomes fragile. This act is not theoretical. It is preventive governance before crisis. This act derives its authority directly from our Constitution and existing space legislation. It aligns with international law, including the Outer Space Treaty and the Liability Convention, as well as United Nations debris.
John seems to have frozen there. I can see you moving, Ricky, so it's not my end. I think maybe John has frozen. Let's just see if John's coming back in a moment. You're watching Asgardia's digital sitting. I just want to see if we can. Ricky, can you just say something so that I can make sure our system's still working?
Yeah, I'm here.
Say again?
You hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I think we lost.
Okay.
I think we just lost John there in the middle of his commentary. We'll get him back in just a minute, I hope. John's spent a lot of time on his presentation, so I'll ask Linda to let him in as soon as he's ready. Let's just wait for a minute, and we'll get. Oh, and Ferda is here as well, so that's great news. And when John gets back, he can continue. And I think he has just lost his signal for some reason. Very rare for John to lose his signal, but we shall see what happens. Just for those who are watching, you'll see that there are two of me if you're watching carefully. I'm in the process of changing from one computer to another just to make sure that it works. And you'll see my name somewhere, don't worry. It'll just be one of me by the time we get there. While we're waiting for John to return, let me just summarize. Oh, hang on, I've got a message coming in. Okay. Let me just say that we are at the moment going through the business. We haven't done the Antarctic Act because it's too difficult for us to do it just now. Too much needs to be changed, and that's a big negotiation and a big piece of work. But we will do that as soon as we can. Maybe we even have to have a separate sitting for that. We had a government hour, and Jakob gave a very good summary of his work there. We had the Asgardia Opportunities Act, second reading, and Alexander Melnikov is the proposer for that. John Fine helped out with presenting. Asgardia Digital Content Authorization Act, again, second reading, again from Alexander Melnikov, and John Fine helped with that. Then we took a break. And we're talking now about the Asgardia Space Traffic Management Act, third reading. And this was a presentation by John. I don't know where he's gone. What we could do, I'm just seeing if he's back yet. No. It might be that his computer's lost power. It's possible. Further, go ahead.
Çok teşekkür ederim. Benim
Thanks
bildiğim
very
kadarıyla
much.
o da yeni bir
As far as I
sistem
know,
yapmıştı, upgrade etmişti kendini,
John
kendi
Fine
video programları için, YouTube kanalı için.
just upgraded his computer for his YouTube channel
isimli programları için. Dolayısıyla
for his
teknik bir
programs
problem
called Third
yaşaması çok
Horizon.
muhtemel. Kendisine ben çok
It's
teşekkür etmek
highly
istiyorum.
possible that he
Çalışmayı
experienced a
durdurmak
technical
istememiştim.
problem. I
Çünkü
didn't want to
evet,
interrupt his
ilk
presentation, but
ve
I wanted to
ikinci
thank to him.
okumalar
Yes,
için
for the first and
bu
second
kanunlarla
readings
ilgili biz
regarding
Foreign
these
Affairs
laws,
olarak çok çalıştık.
as a
Bu
Foreign Affairs Committee, we
asıl
worked very hard.
getiren John oldu.
But John Fine
Foreign Affairs
has been the person
olarak.
who gave the law its final shape as a member of LMRG and Foreign Affairs Committee. Unfortunately, this was a bit unlucky because we all know how beautiful presentations John Fine creates, and he really paid attention to this presentation. So I really hope to see the next slides in that presentation.
Yeah.
So we almost gave the law its final shape, so we all expect to see your yes votes. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much as well. Don't know what happened to John there. That's a unexpected break there. I think that John has been very, very helpful in terms of not just being involved in the whole process. He really saves a lot of time, makes things far more efficient, thanks to his excellent work on legislation. Just while we're waiting for John to return, can I suggest that you do please vote? Not everybody here has voted on the legislation we have already discussed. It would be helpful if you could vote. That would just be good. I always worry about the quorum, and I just want to make sure that we get to the quorum, which is 50% plus one of parliamentarians. And so that would be very helpful if you can actually vote on the items that we have already discussed. I'm not sure where John is. I could phone him in a minute, but I don't want to distract him if he's trying to get back in. It's very unusual for John to have these problems. As you say, he upgraded his equipment for his wonderful podcast. And I did one of his podcasts 2 days ago. So that will be broadcast quite soon. And I credit Ada. She's working very hard while she's with us as well. Sergey says, regarding space debris, how could Asgardia be innovative in the conception of spacecraft and satellites? That's a good question. I wonder if it's possible to design a spacecraft which could survive an impact. It might be difficult because we're dealing with a lot of kinetic energy in that situation. But maybe it's theoretically possible. I don't know. Maybe it could be done. I've never designed a spacecraft. Lots of paper gliders, but never a spacecraft. My daughter Angelina is good at making paper gliders, but they probably wouldn't stand. They wouldn't survive an impact with a major, not even a minor meteorite. Sergey, maybe you've got answers yourself. And I'm just looking, there's discussion about Dan Profit's program as well. That will be, the Highway to Space program will be available on the station that I work with as well. They're both going to be presenting that same document, the same series, but to see it first, you need to go to Highway to Space, the channel there. Now, I don't know what's happened to John. It looks to me that he has temporarily gone away. What we could do is go to see Sabahattin if he's here, but I don't think he is at the moment. So if anybody wants to cover the Sabahattin legislation, we could go to that. Further, you may want to, maybe I can ask you just to talk a little bit more about the Asgardia Space Traffic Management Act third reading. Maybe we can continue with that. I don't want to delay people too much. Would it be okay if I ask you further to talk about that?
Sergi sormuş chatte. Kendileri Asgardia'nın burada nasıl etkin olabileceğine dair.
Well, yes, I have heard these things. Actually, we need to be there. I mean, both on the global side and also for all the citizens of the world. We are a new digital nation, so I believe this is completely what is for us, actually. I mean, it is ideal for us. I think that's going to be a super infrastructure because there's a promise given to people and we will be achieving that all together. And I definitely believe that it will help things go faster and more efficient. I think we have this infrastructure to take over this authority. I believe it will be an advantage for the rest of the world as well. That's my opinion.
Thank you very much, Ferda. That's very useful. Let me ask, does anybody have any questions or comments for Ferda about this legislation? It is very important. Let's remember that there are tens of thousands of small objects all being tracked in space, really because we have been careless as a species. Over 100 or 200 years, that stuff will come out back into the atmosphere, but in the short term, those items represent a real danger to people in space. And that's a difficult thing. I don't know what the best solution is, but maybe there is a research solution. Ariadne says, a PhD position available to start research. It's not enough to have the knowledge without the infrastructure. That's a very good point. I am surprised that the International Space Station has not been hit more times. I think that something that big, the size of the International Space Station, has been quite lucky not to be hit by objects which do more damage to it. That would be my biggest fear about being in space, but space debris caused by humans. So this is an important piece of legislation. Others have talked about it, other nations, but they haven't done much about it. So I don't know quite what the long-term solution is if we don't do it. We have to do it. Does anybody else want to make any points about this or ask any questions further?
Asgardia bu noktada devreye giriyor.
Well, that's the point where Asgardia will be stepping in, actually, because we are international body, but we are not bound by any, let's say, piece of legislation of any earthly international legislation. Let's say we don't have those boundaries. I mean, we are not limited or we're not bound by those type of things. Yes, we will take the responsibility, but since we are digital and international, we will be achieving this definitely.
Thank you. I hope the sound might be a little bit better. I've tried to remove the echo now, but tell me if you can't, if you can still hear the echo. Does anybody else, is it better? Okay, thank you. I think there, it was just the way I was sitting next to a wall which was reflecting the sound. Does anybody else wish to make any questions or comments about this piece of legislation? If not, what I will do is I'll just have a 5-minute break while I contact John Fine to see what's happening. Otherwise, okay. Otherwise, I would ask you to vote for this. I hope you will vote for it. The purpose of this legislation is to save everybody who's in space, not just us, everybody. And we might be doing a really good thing for the future of life in space if we can actually make sure that we have a collective process which really works. It's like cleaning up the oceans. It's a big job, but it can be done if we work together. So we can also clean up space if we work together, and we can stop making it dirty in other places, in orbit around the moon and everywhere else. There's a bigger problem in orbit around the moon because there isn't any atmosphere to slow down the orbiting items. They will eventually crash into the Earth, but not straight away. And so into the moon, but not straight away. So there's an additional problem there. Ariadne?
Gracias. Yo creo que toda iniciativa.
Thank you. I think that all initiatives that are done to work on this space debris is very positive. It's just a small grain of salt. It's a small grain of collaboration, uniting to what the world is doing. We could do, or they could do that. We are the small sand in the ocean of the big structures that are doing and what they can, what they could, and monitoring the space debris. And the fact that we are uniting into that effort is really great. And people would say, well, why this is just a micro digital nation. I think that everybody started small and nobody started running or crawling. I think that's exactly what's happening with us. So thank you for that. I'm gonna vote in favor.
Thank you, Ariadne. I agree with you. That's absolutely right. And we're doing it for everybody. We're doing this for everybody, but we have to do it for everyone to do it for us. That's the thing. If we want to be safe, we have to make it safe for everybody, and that there's no escape from that. Okay. Does anybody else want to make any further comments? Because we have to keep moving. I will stop for 5 minutes to call John Fine and see what's going on. Ariadne, sorry, Ada is waving, I think. Probably wave. Did you want to say something, Ada? Or yes, okay. You might just be waving. Otherwise, yeah, okay, good. And thanks, by the way. It's great that you're working at the same time as listening, Ada. Further, what I'll do is I'll have a quick 5-minute break. I'll call John, and then we'll see what's happening. And so don't go anywhere.
John gelsin lütfen. Teşekkürler.
I just wish John is back as soon as possible. That's it.
Well, it will fix it. I'll just find out what's going on. So I'll leave you live. So I'm going to switch my computer, my picture, and my sound off while I call John. But stay together. Please don't go anywhere. So please stay with us. And I will be on the phone talking to John. I'll call you back in. I'll be back here in just a moment. So he says as soon as it's back up, then he can finish the presentation. What I suggest is, I was going to take a break a little bit later on, but let's take, this is the second, I know we just had a break, but let's just have our second and final break now, and then we can go all the way through to the end without another break. That's just the efficient thing to do. So he says it'll take him 3 minutes, but let's restart at 10 past 3. That's 15:10, which is 9:10 for Sarah. 15:10. We'll start again. No, it's fine. This is basically. I'm lucky because I live according to the time here, Greenwich Mean Time UTC. But when the first time I did a digital sitting, we tried to accommodate people all over the world, and it was a big mess because everyone ended up tired because some people had to get up in the morning, some in the afternoon, and I had to be up just about all the time. But it did work, and I'm pleased that it worked. Okay, Ariadne, before we have a break, Ariadne, go ahead.
Sí, gracias. Bueno, creo que esto nos muestra.
Thank you. I think that this shows a route for a strategy, that it is necessary that everything that John finds doesn't stay only in John Fine's computer, because I think somebody else could do the presentation while something happens with his system. So I think that the same would happen if we are in Antarctica, and if something happens with an iceberg in a special place, we would have to have a staged secondary area to go forward. So the same thing would happen in space. I think my recommendation is that John gives the material to somebody else responsible for the proposal, so that this does not delays the work. This is my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, well, we need to have redundancy. If my system went down, we would let one of the deputy chairs, it was then Salvos or Ben Dell, take over. These days, it would be Peter Morn or John Fine, really, actually, just because of the way that's how we ended up doing it. But John Fine's not deputy chair, but he knows a lot about the legislation, so he's a natural person to have involved in the discussion of legislation and chairing the session. Right, so we'll take our second and final break now from 15:04 to 15:12. That should give enough time for John to be back on air. So don't go anywhere. If you don't need to. I'm going to try and work with John to get this thing working again. So you can stay. This is going to stay live, but we'll officially restart in 7 minutes. I'll update you sooner if I get more information. Otherwise, 15:12 is when we're starting UTC. I'm here, but I'm just gonna put my camera and sound off while I talk to John to fix I've traded picture for sound, so hopefully it'll be a little bit better
Yes, we
now.
can.
Yep.
Okay, hopefully the sound will be a bit better. Tried to change the settings a bit. Just to update you, very unlucky, but John Fines has lost his signal. He's talking to the internet providers now. And what we will do is we'll come back to that after we've spoken about the other act which John is not presenting. Hang on a minute, I've just got to the wrong place. Just opening the right screen. And I'm just wondering, is Sabahatine here? Because what I'd like to do is go to the Youth and Education Framework Act third reading, which should be presented by Sabahatine Devecioglu. And this is this framework, the framework for the third reading for the education system. But it's not the whole system, it's just the framework. It's how we will construct it. I can talk about it briefly if you wish me to. And let me open it then. It's quite complicated for me to. I don't like doing this. It's quite complicated for me to look at the actual document at the same time as sharing it. But under the circumstances, I think I have to. So let me just open it. Right. Just opening it now. Right. So if somebody will need to speak, tell me if you see Sabahatine, because I'm now on a different screen, but I need to do this in order to present this. This law is all about empowering young people, but it's actually wider than that. It's about fostering equality, innovation, inclusivity, sustainability, lifelong learning. And it's about giving our society the education it needs to do its mission, which is a cosmic heritage. I will read the core principles, but I'm not going to go through every single article. The core principles are equality and non-discrimination, innovation and scientific advancement, lifelong learning, which means it's not just about young people, it's about people, safety and ethical responsibility, sustainability, cultural and linguistic diversity, youth participation and empowerment, and collaboration. There are 14 articles, and each of the articles has subsections in it as well. So I'm not going to go through every part, but I'll talk about them briefly. And also the legal authority is from the Constitution of Asgardia, so it is constitutional. It has to work with the Asgardia Constitution, has to be consistent with other legislation. Article 2 is definitions. I won't go through them. There are interesting ones. Human capital is an interesting one, and specialized educational programs, which are about the skills we specifically need to make success happen in space. There's a lot in the definitions, but that's helpful. Once we have those definitions, by the way, those same definitions will be used in other legislation as well. So we only need to define something one time. Rights and responsibilities is Article 3, and there's a fundamental right to education in Asgardia. And there's a responsibility as well, that we as Asgardians actively engage in our education. We don't sit there waiting for other people to do it. We need to be proactive. We want to give people a hand up, not a handout. The education system itself, is based on the system, the principle of lifelong learning. And that means for everybody. It's not just about the young, it's about everyone. There's a governance and oversight explanation there. Administration inclusivity is also explained. And it covers stakeholder protection, as participation, as well as some other important elements. There's an assessment and evaluation system, which basically means there should be continuous improvement. We talked about this with another piece of legislation. There should be continuous improvement when it comes to the system itself, but the people within it. A bad school harms many people. And in the United Kingdom, we have a system to fix bad schools. We want to make sure we never end up in that bad school situation in the first place. There's element of special education, which is Article 6. Article 7, student welfare and protection. This means that the education system has a duty of care to make sure that you are treated with respect in what you do, and that you're actually taught to value rights and privacy of yourself and others. Because part of our education is knowing not just what to think and how to do solutions, but how to live with other people. Youth engagement and participation means that those people in standard colleges do have some say in how the institutions work. The Article 9 covers teacher development, which is how we make our teachers integrate practical and effective sharers of wisdom and knowledge. They're two different things, wisdom and knowledge. It talks to funding and resources, and Asgardia's finance ministry has to find the money, sorry Sarah, and has to develop strategies to get the money. The Framework Act does not say how the money is raised. That is a separate debate, and we must come back to it. It's always a big debate in the United Kingdom, the question of how our education system is funded. We need to have that debate in Asgardia as well. Partnerships and collaboration means that Article 11 says it's okay for colleges, for institutions of education to collaborate with business and other sources of investment and intelligence to make the system work. There's ongoing monitoring and evaluation in Article 12, and that's about the law itself, to make sure this law is delivering what it's supposed to deliver. That's the crucial central thing here. The law has to be fit for use, and just as I said about the tech-related legislation, this also has to make sure that we don't get stuck in a bad cycle of bad teaching, but we don't spend too much time continuously improving and not actually teaching anybody anything. Article 13, transitional provisions and enforcement. It's basically how we get to set this up, how to get this running. Preparatory measures, voluntary basis on Earth. Basically, everyone in terms of education in Asgardia to remain voluntary, and individuals shall be responsible for their own education needs and pursuits while residing on Earth. So when you're on Earth, you can get Asgardia education, but it's your choice. There are state responsibilities, penalties as well, that touched on. Article 14 is about dispute resolution, and it explains something which we put forward as a fairly standard process. And if things are unresolved in a reasonable time, those unresolved issues go to arbitration in the next stage. And the arbitrator's decisions will be final and binding. So that's basically the legislation. This started off as a 45-page document.
I'm here now.
Okay, John, we're going to finish this one and we'll come back to you. Well done, by the way. That was quick. So this started off as a 45-page document because it tried to do everything the education system needed, but it was too much for one go. So now this is the framework. If we agree the framework, and everything else can follow from that. So framework first, then everything else. Any questions about this piece of legislation? I've been pretty heavily involved in it since the start. And a massive thank you to Corna, who was at the time leading on this. She did a great deal of work, and we very much thank her for doing that. Most of the document was inspired by her work. If you pass this, then the next stage, assuming it gets a decree of approval, the next stage is to start actually putting the elements of the education system together. We can't do that all at once. We have to do it piece by piece, building it up block by block. And we can. It's a lot of work. We can do it, though. So if you pass this, that gives us the framework. Then we work out the elements, including how the funding works and what the curriculums are and everything that goes with it. And we'll have to decide collectively where we start in terms of actually rolling it out. And this needs funding. But as we discussed earlier on, we have ways of beginning to raise substantial amounts of money. And if Asgardia can provide serious education opportunities to people on Earth, then that could be a funding stream as well. Any questions on this before we go back to John? Okay. If you agree, then please vote yes. If you disagree, still vote, but vote no. And if you're not sure, then please abstain. So that is something else you can vote for now. And please do vote. You've made it here. It's great to see you voting as well. Okay, thank you. Let's take a look at the agenda. And we are now going to go back to where we left off, which is the Space Debris Mitigation and Management Act third reading. Okay, John, let's hope that things continue okay for you.
Well, I'm actually in my car right now in somebody's field, and doing this off of my laptop. So,
well, it's working. It looks better than it did before.
Yeah. So here we go.
All right, let's try.
Yeah.
Please do vote. If you haven't voted, please vote. Some colleagues here haven't voted on the things we've discussed. Yeah, okay, we can see part of it.
How about that? Is that work?
Yeah, full screen. Everything's good. Over to you.
All right. Oh, shoot.
What's wrong?
Well, I can't see the notes. I don't know.
You'll just have, I trust you. Just speak spontaneously.
Okay.
You'll know what you're doing.
Welcome, everybody. This is the Space Debris Mitigation and Management Act, Apogee 1, third reading. Honorable members of Parliament, today we present the Space Debris Mitigation and Management Act for its third and final reading. This legislation establishes a structured, enforceable framework to protect the long-term sustainability of orbital space and to position Asgardia as a responsible spacefaring nation. Unfortunately, as we go into the new space age, the orbital congestion is continuously increasing. The collision risk is continuing escalating, and long-term sustainability is at stake. This act is designed to protect those problems, or at least mitigate them. This act is established on some very specific legal foundations. The first foundation, of course, is the Space Activities Act, the Outer Space Treaty, the Liability Convention, and the UN Debris Guidelines. The second pillar is international law. And of course, the last is the Asgardia Constitution. The core structure of the Act primarily works towards prevention, and this corresponds with all current practiced space debris prevention that is currently being practiced. This act is aligned with those practices and specifically, and it's monitoring, of course, liability. And when we talk about liability, of course, this is the actors involved in the sending their crafts up into space. They are liable for their debris. So this act reinforces that. Innovation. And innovation, we're talking about improving spacecraft so that it doesn't leave debris, or so it purposely burns up in the atmosphere, or it has deorbiting capabilities to deorbit in a specific location in the on the globe, and various other ways that are being used to try to mitigate debris in that area, in the area of innovation. I give an example of this would be, of course, Elon Musk and his big rocket that he's been shooting up, or even the little ones that he's been shooting up, and they return back to Earth and be reused. And an earlier example of this, of course, would have been the space shuttle. And there are many, both in European nations and Asia, the Asian nations, and all over the world, even that are adapting their technology to have reusable spacecraft so that it doesn't leave debris trails. And this is a good thing. But this act is in line with that as well. And of course, review to make sure that what the act is doing is keeping up with the technological advancement of humankind. It works towards prevention and operations in design standards and mandatory mitigation plans and controlled end-of-life disposal and collision avoidance requirements. These are very important: design, operation, disposal, and compliance. These are what you would call the core pillars of the program to help prevent and mitigate space debris. And two very more important pillars is monitoring and cooperation. This act establishes space situational awareness participation, data sharing obligations, international coordination, cooperation with the United Nations Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space, and also coordinating with all the different space agencies and tracking stations. This act establishes a connection in those areas so that Asgardia is considered a serious player when Asgardia becomes spacefaring. They are considered a serious player in the space domain. And
this act establishes us as a legitimate um, actor for those uh, for being part of those talks. It allows us to be part of that. It allows us to be part of the and this works in getting that UN recognition that we so desire. Also, that favored nation or not favored that I'm sorry. I had all this in nice little notes so I can remember, but it does help.
Recognized status as a nation.
Yeah, right. Recognized nation and recognized status. So and it's and that's one of our goals. And the Antarctic Treaty or Antarctic Act works towards that goal as well. So uh, and this is just another avenue for us to become partners with the global community in space debris and mitigation. So in liability enforcement, you have financial liability for damage. You have debris removal participation, fines, license suspension, and revocation. This is all part of the what's in the act: damage, liability enforcement, and accountability. And when it comes to space debris, these are musts because space debris can either become a consequential threat to uh, to society and to humanity, or it can be managed and mitigated. Asgardia chooses managed and mitigated, and this act will help us get us there with the global community. In implementation and future capacity, capacity, we have effective upon decree approval. We certification required before launch. This is any launches that Asgardia is involved in. Funding for research and removal once Asgardia becomes spacefaring, and periodic review to make sure that we stay up to date with current technological advancements. And of course, approval is immediate. Certification before launch, funding as allocated, review periodic, and operation. This is considered our operational maturity. Now, it may take us many years to get to that point, but we have to start somewhere, and that's what this act does. It gets us started. The strategic impact and of course the closing of this slides. Our strategic impact is orbital sustainability, regulatory credibility, international legitimacy, and future mission viability. The Act establishes these as important strategic impacts for Asgardia to achieve. So, over time, I see no reason why we can't achieve that. But at least now we have an instrument that allow us to do that. And thank you for your support. The Asgardia Parliament, the floor is now open for questions and answers.
Thank you very much. Well, you have to give the answers, and so does Ferda. Let's do the questions. Does anyone have any questions about this? Right, you're still sharing. If you stop sharing, I'll be able to see more easily.
Sorry. There we go. I've never done this out of my car before. This is a new experience.
Okay. Anybody like to make any points about this? I think this is really good. I think this is something where we can actually lead the world on. We got Ariadne and then we got Sarah. Ariadne first.
Ariadne y luego Sara.
Bien, John, hace un momento le comentaba
John, just a moment, I was telling Ferda and I was commenting to everybody, putting a little grain of salt and the great job that the world is making it in the space debris. And as a space nation, recognized, we cannot be outside of this. So small or big, I think we are going to start a precedent and the job that we realize. And it's going to take years. We're not here to finish tomorrow with our job, but the next parliamentary people that when we are gone from this planet, many others are going to take into account that this job is being done from zero. And for example, in the chat, we were talking about all the proposals, academical proposals and technological proposals that exist to for the starting this space debris mitigation. And yes, everybody is putting, according to the resources, intellectual resources, economical resources, a plan to clean the orbit. But if we, in our plan to 2043 to inhabit the orbit, definitely we would be the first to bring in or the sustainability or sustain the right to have a clean orbit. So the initiative is really great. Precisely yesterday, just looking at the report that I created to talk about the science report, I see in that report a seed that is giving like a very important branches. And I think this is a tree, and what Luca did was he planted a seed and he left it there. He said, we have to wait. Somebody else is going to come in and collaborate. And somebody's going to come and make that this tree to have big branches. I really like to make the reality in this way to have a better explanation of what we do. And I was really surprised in what I was looking at. Precisely a tree that has long branches towards the manufacturing committee, manufacturer of foreign relations. He only put the seed. He put the seed in a fertile grounds called Parliament. It wouldn't be a strong seed if it weren't for the oxygen that constitutes that tree. And if the tree is grows thanks to the wind, to the sun, the external elements. And here you are. Those elements are all of you that are working on this great work. My recognition to Luca and all the people that are here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's helpful, and I can only agree with what you've said. Sarah.
Wow, following that very eloquent comment, mine is going to seem rather boring, but I really love the work that the foreign affairs ministers and everyone who has contributed to not only the Space Debris Mitigation Act, but the Space Traffic Management Act. And I firmly believe, as Gerda and John have made very clear, that if we want to be relevant in this space biosphere and just the ecosphere, that we really need to take a non-political stand just to do good and to do well. And just planning for the future of mankind in space is something that people talk about, but something that we're doing. So I really hope that my fellow Asgardians will vote in favor of these two acts. I think that they are vital just to putting our best foot forward into achieving our goals.
I totally agree. Thank you, Sarah. I totally agree. I think this is a really important piece of legislation, and I think that will save lives before they're lost. Let's try to do it this time without losing the lives before we actually act. Not just our lives, but anyone's. Volvo. Was it someone here who told me this? Volvo shared the patent for seatbelts, inertia wheel seatbelts, for free to the world. They invented it, and they shared it because they just wanted to save lives. I think I know who told me that now. So, anybody else want to make any comments before we come back? Ben. Good to see you, Ben. Nice to see you. You're still silent. I think you're still silent, Ben. It's because you're in space. No one can hear you scream. Ben was the deputy chair of Parliament for a while before rising to the rank of minister. And Ben, can you hear us? Okay. You can hear us. We just can't hear Ben. Just try and say something, Ben. There's some buzzing, so you're nearly there. And then once we finish this, we'll go to the. Okay, let's come back to. Then we'll come back to Ben in a minute. He's just sorting out his settings. Does anybody else have anything to say on this? We can hear a buzzing coming off Ben's system. Further.
Ben John'a çok teşekkür etmek istiyorum.
I
Beklediğimize
wanted to
değdi.
thank to
Güzel bir
John.
sunumdu.
It was worth our waiting. It was a really nice presentation. I'm looking forward to hear the next presentation. Thanks very much. This is the third reading, and we have seen the clear fruits of his labor. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Anybody else before we come back to Ben? But we can come back to Ben after the next presentation as well. Ben's trying to get sorted. I think, yeah, okay. Thank you, everyone. John, last word to you. Then we'll come to your next presentation, and we'll get all of Ben's points in one go after the next presentation. Last word to you, John.
Yeah, just me and my committee will be very happy to see this get approved for this third reading, and we appreciate all the support that it's had and want to thank everybody for that support. And just so you all know, I had to drive 5 miles to get to a point where I could get internet or phone service and then tap into my phone. So that's how I'm here right now, in my car. That's my dedication to Asgardia.
You want a medal?
I know. But
you're a hero.
I did call about the network, and they said they don't know what the problem is. They're working on it, so it looks like it may be down for a while. So I do apologize, but yeah, and I actually have 2 systems in my house, and both of them are down. So this is my last resort, is to drive 5 miles up the road into off the side of the road in a field. And I actually had this in my scheduled emergency plan, and never had to use it. And I'm like, well, I'll probably never use it. So I was ready for it.
It's great that you have. I'm really impressed.
Yeah. But so at least I know what it's like to use it now. At least I know it works.
Well, it's great that you have basically. Let me just say what it is. You have a network failure mitigation and management plan. Right. Okay. Ben's hand's still up, but I think he's still fixing his system. So let's go to the final piece of legislation before we take the report from before we go back to Ben and anyone else. And this item, the final piece of legislation today, is the Space Traffic Management Act. Fred and John worked on this again. John, you are setting a trailblazing precedent by proving we don't need any other parliamentarians, just you.
No, don't go there, man. I don't like that.
We could clone you the way they did in Star Wars. You'll be the Asgardia equivalent of an Imperial stormtrooper.
Okay. All right. Let's see. It's thinking. Hold on.
I can see it. You can see it.
Yeah, but it won't let me. Oh, there we go.
Well, I think you're doing a great job since you're sitting in a mysterious field.
It's still loading. You can see it, but it's still loading. I can do it like this, but it won't look as good. Hold on, come on, let me quit loading and let me present. All right, well, we'll get started. It's just not gonna.
That's all right. It's good enough. It's good enough.
Okay, let's see here. I'll do this if that helps any. There we go. How's that? That do better?
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay. All right. This is the Space Traffic Management Act. Of course, Apache Packet 2, third reading. Honorable members of Parliament, we present the Space Traffic Management Act for its third and final reading. This legislation establishes the regulatory framework necessary to coordinate, authorize, and supervise space operations under Asgardian jurisdiction. The governance gap. And one of the things in traffic management is there is a governance gap right now. This is globally. Trying to coordinate between different governments and different agencies has actually been a little bit of a nightmare currently. The one thing that this act does is it solves some of the problems that the world hadn't been able to solve yet. And the only reason I say that is because I've had some actually people look at this act and they said, that it was very future oriented, very future proofed, and that it was unique in the way, both acts actually, in the way they help solve some of the problems that the world is trying to solve right now. So this kind of positions Asgardia as a leader just in the language alone. Of course, we have to become spacefaring for this to actually be any good to us. But in the governance gap, you see increasing orbital congestion. You see expanding commercial activity. This is a big one. No centralized traffic authority. That's another big one, and there isn't right now. And coordination risk escalating. In legal continuity of this act, of course, it's established on the Constitution of Asgardia, and then moves up to the Act on Acts, and then the Space Activities Act, and then the Space Debris Mitigation Act, and then you got Space Traffic Management Act. So, believe it or not, the Space Debris Mitigation Act needs to pass in order for this act to pass, because it is what you would call a child of the Space Debris Mitigation Act. But it's established off Constitutional Authority, Act on Act, Space Activities Act, and Space Debris Mitigation. The core structure, it has regulatory authority. It goes over licensing, It goes over operational rules. It goes over space situational awareness, integration, enforcement, and revision. And it works as authority, operators, compliance, and oversight. That's the order that it works in. Um, and the Space Debris and Mitigation Act sort of establishes the core pillars, and this here establishes the specifics. So that should help you understand. One great thing about this act is the establishment of the STMA. This is the Space Traffic Management Authority, um, which is a central authority that can coordinate with systems around the world, around the globe, and that's ESA, NASA, and whoever that they have to coordinate with in order to properly manage the space traffic, not only for Asgardia, but space traffic for other nations that enter Asgardia, that are coming around. It's sort of like a model that we used to use in the Army, what we called the fields of fire, intersecting fields of fire. Uh, uh, you had all these different areas set up, and they all had intersecting fields of fire. And this is where, in a war zone type of scenario, when you're trying to take out whoever's in front of you, you make sure that everybody's intersecting sectors of fire are connected, so that you completely establish a complete line that will help you take out the enemy. Well, in this situation, you're establishing a complete a line to help you mitigate or manage traffic. And that traffic, as you know, will go from one view to another view to another view, and those views may the nation of Japan may be doing one view, Russia may doing one, China one, United States one, and these are going to overlap. And this agency here is being established, or authority is being established to help coordinate with all those different agencies. So it's really good, and it has oversight authority, it has rulemaking power, and it has implementation responsibility. Licensing requirements. Licensing is required. Orbital slot and frequency coordination, advanced maneuver notification, and collision avoidance compliance. And the way it works is you submit an application, you get your license approved, then it goes to regulated operations, and then it goes to operations. In safety and space situational awareness integration, space situational awareness participation. It covers its core data sharing and risk mitigation proportionality. These are the things that are tenet of that grouping. And it goes with anything. Be aware of your surroundings, and that's no different when you're up in space. In space, it's actually there's more need to be aware of your surroundings than down on Earth. Earth is kind of forgiving when you stumble into a tree or something like that, but in space, when things tend to stumble into one another, it can cause catastrophic disaster. So we don't want that, and therefore we want to mitigate that as much as possible. Enforcement and funding. The compliance pipeline is assessment, action, resolution, and mitigation. Mitigation works off of all three of those because you're going to have to mitigate each one of them. You got space situational awareness participation again, you got data sharing again, and of course, risk mitigation proportionality. And those you could call the pillars of this act because those are your three main core tenets to ensuring proper space traffic. It is proportionate and consistent with due process and capability. The strategic positioning, and of course, the closing of this presentation. Our strategic positioning is structured governance, operational discipline, international coordination, it's very important, and sustainable expansion. And what we're hoping for is clean orbital lanes, orderly, mapped, and structured. And this act allows us to do that and coordinate that with the global community. And thank you again for your support and the Asgardia Parliament. The floor is now open for questions and we'll provide the answers. So thank you.
I like the way you try to do my job for me, John. One day, Ben Bedell used to do that. One day, you'll wake up and go to work and I'll be sitting in your desk saying, John, it's all right. I've taken control.
Well, that's all right. We'll put a chicken on for you.
The only way that I could cope with Ben's amazing powers is to get him to go into government. I'm only kidding. I'm sure he's got things fixed and he's raised his hand. Let's start with Ben. He may have a question. Thank you, John, by the way. Let's start with Ben and his question might be about the previous legislation.
My first question would be, can you hear me?
What?
Yes.
Yes. Sorry, the oldest joke in the book. So
I was doing some debris mitigation by resetting my PC, and all the drivers haven't loaded yet. So my question is actually, my question is more a comment question. And it's because of both pieces of legislation. How and where do we see these legislations being introduced to a cooperative environment with other agencies on Earth? Are we doing it during the development of the legislation, or are we going to try and do it after it has passed? When do we introduce this to other agencies so that we can get that cooperation and start supporting other people in what they do, and in the process have them support us? Because the big thing is always people asking nowadays, and I'll speak about this in Government Hour. What do I get out of it? Well, you get our support and you get our enthusiasm for your products and your services, whatever. And all we want is some recognition from you to tell us how can we integrate with your systems firstly, and then later on start introducing our system as the preferred systems, because we are all agencies, all actors. So that's basically my question for both submissions. Thank you.
John?
Well, actually, I'm glad you asked that question. It's a very good question. The act actually establishes protocols within it that answers those questions for you, and it allows ministers and diplomats and whatever to go ahead and start the processes necessary to to that integration. So, which planning basically, and some, and it's a progressive stepping stone type act. It's it had the provisions in it lets it progress uh, according to Asgardia's progression. So if you advance fast, advance fast. If you progress slow, it advances slow. It's set up that way. So it's aligned with whatever we're currently doing and whatever we're currently wanting to do. So and it gives it gives ministers all the tools they need to go ahead and start whatever processes they need and how they want to integrate the particulars of the act into the global community or to within their own programs, whatever. It gives you all that control and leadway. And but much of it won't actually uh, come to fruition until we become a spacefaring nation. But that's just common sense. Until we're actually putting craft up into space and etc., which could be next year, could be 10 years down the road. We don't know. But the anyway, regardless of how much time it takes, the act does allow you to progress naturally through the system
Mm.
as fast or
Yeah.
as slow as you want to go.
Just my final thought on that. Do you primarily see that as the ministers doing that, or do you also see parliamentarians while they're developing these acts, maybe reaching out to other agencies and getting some best practices from them?
Well, I would say the Constitution establishes that as a ministry, minister's responsibility, not Parliament. So Parliament can hold hearings, but it has to be hearings on specifics of an act. Now, if a certain aspect of this act, say, doesn't work, and a minister figures out that it's not working, they can present that to Parliament, and then Parliament can have hearings about that particular section. Uh, and investigate, and then they can actually call outside forces in to investigate that particular. But as far as implementation, the Constitution clearly gives that authority to the ministries. So that would have to be the ministers.
Thank you, Ben. And you're looking very well. You're looking younger every day, Ben. Yeah, okay. Don't push it. Ariadne, you're next and further.
Muy bien, es verdad lo que dice John. Esto va a ser un
What
trabajo a
John
largo
says is
plazo. Quiero
true.
compartir pantalla
This is
para
going to
algo
be
que
a
me escribí
long-term work.
para esta,
I want to
para
share my
comentar
screen
esta ley.
to make a comment about this law.
Es muy interesante lo que vemos
I think
aquí.
this is very
¿Sí lo ven?
interesting. Can you see it?
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Aquí.
Yes.
Perfecto. Bien, aquí se ve
Perfect.
el trabajo que está
Here
haciendo
you
la
can see
Agencia
the work
Espacial Europea
that the agency
y
is, the
los tiempos
spatial,
ellos
the
van
European Spatial
tomando en
Agency
cuenta
is
del
doing
2020 al 2030.
from
Esta
2020.
la acabo de ver hace un rato.
They
Y
have
bueno,
a
esto
time
lo
frame
puse en
up
Slack
to
para que
2030.
ustedes lo puedan leer. Y
I put that
obviamente
in Slack so that you can read it.
Space Traffic Management es la situación.
And
Ellos están
and
manejando eso
you can
So
take.
a
the,
nivel.
I'm sorry.
¿eh? a nivel internacional
So they are
unirnos
working
a
on
ese
the space
trabajo me parece muy
traffic
positivo.
management.
Sí,
And I think this is
porque
very
hay
positive
centros de
because
Estados Unidos y
they
gente que
have
está
US
trabajando en esto
centers
ya.
and
Y
people
yo
that are
siento que ahí
working
es
on
donde
this
entra
already.
la pregunta de
And I
nuestro
feel that
compañero ministro Bendel
where our, the
en el
question
momento
our
que en qué
Minister
momento lo que se
Bendel
está diciendo en
asked,
el Parlamento va a
what is being
entrar
said in the
en
parliament
vinculación a lo que
at
las
some point will
organizaciones
be
de
linked
la
to
Unión
what
Europea y de otras instancias
the
están
United
haciendo,
Nations,
operando
the European
con
nations are
expectativas
doing.
que van a unirse a las compañías privadas del
So these
año, de
expectations
la
will be
década del 30, del
joined
20 al 30, o sea que esto
to
ya
what
está
others
haciendo,
are doing from,
porque
so they're
ya
working on
estamos
it
en
from
2026. Me imagino que
2020
este trabajo
and they
ya,
will
ya
be
tiene
working
raíces, ya
on
tiene
it
unas
up to
semillas germinadas.
2030.
Y
And I
ahí entran
think
ellos, los
these roots
ministros, en esta
will give
labor
us seeds
de conjunto
to work
para
in
poder hacer
coordination,
que esto que se llama
to be able
actividad
to
humana alrededor del espacio
make this human activity
y la
around the
actividad
space
que dominan los científicos y los
and the
astronautas
activity that
se vea
the scientists
favorecida
and
por
astronauts
esto
are
que se
doing,
llama Space Traffic Management,
and they will definitely be favored by this,
gracias.
well, the space traffic management. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's get Ferda's point as well, and then we'll come back to John.
Teşekkür ederim.
Thank you
Zaten
so much.
kanun ilk
Well,
ortaya
when this
sözleşme
act
ülkesinden
was first
kanun işte bütün
actually
Avrupa
discussed in
eyaletlerinde
our
çalışırken
committee,
ve uluslararası
and there's a
ilişkiler
reason
ve
why it was actually
yayınlarda
related to Foreign
bu
Affairs Committee,
projeleri
because
gerçek hayata
these
geçirmek ve bu
projects need to
kanunlar
be
sayesinde bu
implemented in
projeleri
coordination
uygulanabilir hale
with the
getirmek.
international platforms to make them comply with the
Bu
international
uluslararası
assignments or
görevini
international
yerine
rules.
getirdiği
That's
takdirde
why, if this
Head of
act
Nation'ın
serves
da
its purpose,
katkılarıyla
and of course with the contribution of the head of
Asım
nation, of course, and of
katkılarıyla
course with the
sizlerin
participation or support of
katkılarıyla
Nigel Evans and
organize ve
all of you,
koordineli iş
then we
çıkaracağımıza
can have a
eminim.
very well organized and a
Yasal olarak
committed
altyapıya
work.
sahip olduktan
So as long as you have the legal
ileride daha da
basis, the
geçmek
first thing you need
olacaktır
to
bu
do
konuya da
is to
dahil ederek.
contact the different nations, of course.
Teşekkür ederim.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ferda, thank you very much. Anybody else? Okay, last word to you, John.
Yes, well, to Ariani's remarks, thank you, by the way. Those are very thoughtful remarks, and you'll find that this act corresponds with that paper very well. Actually, we have managed to close some of the gaps that they're still working on in our legislation, but we in the committee we spent a lot of time ensuring that we were writing the act in coordination with what was currently being done in the world today, and future proofing it for future generations. So and that's that this is both acts are very mature. Their maturity level is very high, and I congratulate our committee for the hard work. Of course, this first started out with Ferda, and then Carl and Ferda, and then I got into it and others, and it actually has been a committee effort the whole time, and in and they're very we look very forward to them passing into law, and we want to thank everybody because there has been many voices again, as I said before, that have contributed, especially while it was in the LMRG. During the other sessions, people had made comments, and again, I'll have to give Ariana props on that because she is one of those people, and the and that's what we need. That's how this parliament establishes a strong connection, is by connectivity, connecting and integrating our ideals, and then putting those ideals on paper and turning them into law. So I thank everybody, and I look forward to seeing it get passed into law. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, John, and everybody who contributed. If you want to vote yes, then do so now. If you want to vote no, do so now. If you're not sure, then abstain. There are colleagues here who haven't voted at all yet. Maybe you just have your own system. Maybe you do it at night. That's fine. Please make sure you vote. One of my obligations is to ensure a quorum. Otherwise, none of the votes count. So please make sure that you do. Thank you. We've come to the last item. We have now done the legislative part of today. The last item is actually a finance report from Mark Bogan, but he has asked if we can maybe do that tomorrow, and I said that's fine. It's not a voting matter. So let's finish off with the rest of the government hour, and I'm sure Ben wants to say something. If anybody from any minister would like to contribute now, let's use the final 15 minutes or whatever time we need to invite any minister to make any contribution they want. We have not got a prime minister at the moment, but we will do. But as I said to you, Ben, before you were here, praise to you and to John for initiating a search of the Constitution on our year day, where we established the government still stands under these circumstances. It doesn't stop. And when we have a prime minister, maybe things will change. There's a new situation then. But because the prime minister can't actually hire or fire people constitutionally, but it's probably right that the prime minister has some say in who does what. So would any minister in this final item, tomorrow we'll do Mark Bogan's finance report. We don't do that today, so he can relax. He's still working on something else. And would any minister like to contribute? Ben Dell, what a surprise. You did say earlier on, I'm not really being sarcastic. It's always good to hear from you, Ben, as well. He's one of the great assets of Asgardia, and somebody who I praise and I learned a lot from, even by traveling to his wonderful part of the world, where they have brilliant food, brilliant people, but no bath plugs. I'll never forget that, Ben.
Okay, thank you very much, Chairperson of Parliament. Good day to all members of Parliament. It's very nice seeing everybody here. I must say I do miss my time in Parliament for the interaction, for the lot of interaction that takes place in Parliament. It's always an honor to be invited to Parliament in any of its sittings, in any of the forms, because it's a reconnection with friends, and I love it. I love it. Okay. So on your comment, Chairperson, my name does start with Benjamin, but it doesn't end with Button. So
I understand. Very good.
I want to quickly touch on two things.
Very clever.
I want to touch on two things quickly. And it has to do with if you could just quickly give me a...
That's fine. I think that's interesting. That was quite surreal.
Yes. Okay, so it's time for my dogs to let the birds know it's time to go home.
We can't hear them. We couldn't hear them. We couldn't hear them.
Yeah. Okay. Two things. Something that has come across very well, especially when we're preparing laws for the future. You know, there's that Greek proverb that says, a society grows great when old men plant trees in whose shade they will never sit.
Yeah.
So this is what's happening here. Asgardia is busy creating the future, a future which most, if not all of us, will never share in. A future in space, a future for our children and their children in space, a future for humanity to continue in space. And lots of other people are doing it as well. And everybody's doing it on their own terms. Some people build rockets, other people build cities, other people build nations. That's now us, eh? And there's a question around planting trees. Something that a person called Farley Ledgerwood said earlier in this year actually struck me very well. He says that this generation that understood the best how to plant trees is watching the world stopping planting trees. People are moving more towards what do I get out of what I'm doing now, instead of let's create something for the future. And we need to take care in Asgardia that we don't follow that same trend, that we keep on planting trees, that we keep on doing this for now and the future, and not just for now. So I do realize that some laws and some things in laws are sidelined because they are not relevant now. But I just want to caution myself and everybody else is that we don't sideline things for the future by leaving it as a technical debt to the future to solve, when we could have done it now easily. You know, if you plan to build a bridge today and you plan then to build a bridge in 30 years from today, the cost to build that same bridge 30 years from today is astronomically higher than building that bridge today. So that is something that struck me, is that Asgardia is the only nation which is currently planting trees for the future in whose shade Asgardia itself will never sit. That brings me to my second point. In September or August or September this year, the United Nations is 80 years old. Okay? And the United Nations was originally founded on the phrase of save succeeding generations from the scourge of war. So the United Nations itself was an organization that was founded to plant trees, because they wanted to create a future for the earth where war doesn't exist. As we know, over the last 80 years or 79 years, the United Nations has moved away from that core principle and become a more encompassing body for human rights, rights of minorities, children, women, the rights of the planet Earth, the development goals, the sustainable development goals. And some people in the world don't agree with that change of the United Nations. Some people are breaking the multilateralism aspect of the United Nations and asking, what do I get out of it immediately? I can't fault them, because we need to live in our immediate societies as well. But it's a very dangerous precedent which is set, because if you remove multilateralism and you remove building for the future to only build for now, we are leaving a massive debt to our children. So I think from Asgardia's side, and then obviously the UN Secretary Guterres in March 2025 launched initiative to transform the United Nations from what it is now into a different organization with maybe different structures, different processes, those types of things. So I think Asgardia has a chance as a nation to participate in this and maybe have an input. And I think and I believe that we should put unsolicited proposals forward for the United Nations for still becoming that multilateralism and future thinking organization which has our support. So those are the two things that I was just thinking about, which I just wanted to offer here. And I believe that that thinking is a aspect of Parliament. Parliament is the thinking part of the brain of Asgardia, and government is the executing part of the brain of Asgardia. So I just wanted to leave those two thoughts here, that we must continue planting trees and we must support others that also planted trees but are under threat now of not being able to plant those trees for the future. So thank you very much for listening to me on this.
I miss you too, because you're bright, totally dedicated to Asgardia, and I happen to share your values, and that goes beyond Asgardia, as you well know, my good friend Ben. John.
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm 100% in agreement with Ben. In fact, the podcast, The Third Horizon, that I currently doing, it's totally developed around the long view thinking, and which is, and a matter of fact, that quote that Ben gave is actually one of the quotes that I use in my program. But and this is the way that I find that many Asgardians think, at least in Parliament, and I'm sure there are ministers that I know Ben does, and I definitely know Cheryl does. They all have this long view thinking, and it's the long view that's going to take us where we need to go. And short term's important for management and mitigation, but we also have to consider long view for that management and mitigation as well. So, like Ben says, we don't leave those that come before us or after us that are not even born yet a mess. And unfortunately, a lot of systems in the world today, they're more short-term thinkers than they are long view, and they don't care about leaving that mess. And so I do believe that the United Nations is very much trying to work towards the long view, and that's why I don't have a problem with Asgardia aligning itself with the United Nations. So definitely. And Ben, you always are inspiring. I've enjoyed working with you the whole time I've had the privilege of working with you, and I think that's why our committee has done so well, is because you and I have had a very good communication channel, and we've worked together on many projects. So, and not only while you were in Parliament, but as a minister as well. So, and I look forward to the rest of the next 10 years, if you and I are still around, But and it, it, it, it, it, it's The long view is important, and care that they need and whatnot so that they grow. But and fortunately, a lot of the stuff that Parliament is producing does just that. And that, believe it or not, that is one of the things I do in the LMRG is try to keep our legislation in that same framework. And, you know, Asgardia's constitution already establishes that framework. So it makes our job much easier that we have a constitution that already establishes that type of framework. And which was a masterpiece when it was first produced. And it's only been corrected once, and those were very minor corrections. So, you know, the people that actually produced that Constitution, you know, that you got to give them a pat on the back for doing such a superb job. But and that Constitution, believe it or not, is one of the reasons why I decided to come into Asgardia. Because after reading it, I was like, man, this is awesome. You know, and the fact that Asgardia wanted to go to space, well, that was just icing on the cake. Because I'm like Jacob, I want to go to space too, really bad. I remember the HON and one of his first announcements said that he wants to see himself on an Asgardia platform in space in his lifetime, and I'm the same age as HON, so. I want to be right there next to him. So,
thank you, thank you, John. And Ariadne adds a quote from Schopenhauer: "The only clue to what man will do is what man has done." And I think that's a very good point. And well done, Ariadne. You're very well read. Let me add my last thought to this before we finish. I'm an optimist. The world has not had a good day. And it's not in Asgardia where we discuss what we think about who did what and why, and who's right and who's wrong. But I can say this on behalf of everybody as we conclude the day. We will take the best of humanity with us and leave the worst habits behind. We're not perfect, but I said at the very beginning, when in fact I first got to know you all, that my mission is to create a parliamentary system that defaults to stability under stress. Now, that might be hard for our interpreters to interpret. I'll come to you in a second, Ricky. What that means is when we are under pressure, we become steady and calm. And I think we've done that. And if we can do that, perhaps we can be a role model for the world. Ricky.
I agree. We're going to stumble here and there, but we'll do okay. You know, that's just the way we are. And call me right after this. I just want 2 minutes of your time. It's very important. And then I can go to bed.
Okay, I will do. It'll be 10 minutes, but I will give you a call in 10 minutes. I'm going to give the last word to Ben before I close the session. Ben.
You know, we all grew up with the thing that when you leave something, it defaults to chaos. But recently, especially when we're looking at quantum matter states, the actual default state defaults to stability. So you are redesigning what we learned wrong. You know, there's a saying that says, blood is thicker than water. Okay? And one of the things that we always assume is that it means family ties are better than friendship. But it's actually the other way around. When the gladiators fought with each other, blood flowed. and they became brothers in arms. And that blood that flowed during that battles is sicker than the birth water of their birth mothers. So the actual meaning of blood is sicker than water has always been the friendships and the bonds you create by doing things supersedes the bond of being married into of being born into a family. And the same way that we learned as children that chaos rules, and if you leave something, it's chaotic. In quantum physics, they're now finding out that things actually go back to stability. So, Lambert, you are quite right. You are reteaching us the fundamental laws of nature, that stability rules, and that we should be thinking of stability as the default state. So I support and applaud you in that.
I never expected to end on such a positive philosophical note, and it's something I'm still learning myself. You've actually said something that helps me learn a little bit more about what I'm doing. After I call Ricky, I'll call you, Ben, because there's something I'm involved with you might be interested in. That brings us to the end of today. We've covered the 5 parts of... Sorry, John, did you want to say something? Oh, sorry, that's a historical note from myself. Let me ask you, you don't have to salute me, John. Basically, we can't hear you, but I'm sure it's funny. We finish
I was
on
rubbing my eye. Sorry.
So you say.
I'm in nature. I'm in nature right now, and I got bugs and everything, birds chirping.
I preferred the salute. It was good.
Okay.
So a big thank you to John. He's been very busy today, and to all others. Let's finish thinking about what. Let me go through tomorrow, as I always do, and then I'll make a concluding thought. We have gone through 5 pieces of legislation today. We discussed the Asgardia, we talked about the Asgardia Opportunities Act, ably presented by John Fine on behalf of Alexander Melnikov. That was second reading. Then we discussed the Asgardia Digital Content Authorization Act, second reading. That was presented again by John Fine on behalf of Alexander, but he also contributed. We discussed the third reading of the Space Debris Mitigation and Management Act. Further Inan's work, John was very helpful with his presentation. And the same goes for the Space Traffic Management Act, same proposer, same presenter. And I covered the Asgardia Youth and Education Framework Act, third reading, on behalf of Sabahattin. And we had a very interesting government hour at the beginning and the end, actually, of our day. Tomorrow, we will be looking at the usual things that we always do on day 3, which will be a guest speaker. I'll come back to that. Then a report back from the Legislative Merit Review Group, LMRG. That's John Fine again, but very important. John's work is making a huge difference to our organisation. Then reports on the implementation of work plans of parliamentary committees, as always. And thank you for those who have sent their reports in early. It's very helpful. Then your opportunity to review, to suggest priority acts, things that you think we need to debate. And then I'll sum up the voting results, closing remarks, and the national anthem, and then the sitting is closed. And the guest speaker tomorrow will be Mark Bogan, because it makes sense for him to come tomorrow. He was a bit busy, and we were a bit short of time for him. I think he might have been under pressure. So tomorrow he will be presenting the budget, the finance report tomorrow to us, which is fine by me. It's not a voting issue, it's a report. So thank you to Mark for being willing to help us tomorrow. Let me finish with 2 thoughts. First thought is a big thank you for all of you, including our interpreters. We have been active for 3.5 hours. Multiply that by 4. That's 14 hours worth of work from when we first began. And Ben will remember the linear translations where we had to wait for everything to be translated. So we've done 14 hours of work in 3.5 hours. And secondly, Ben, I think, has described very accurately what we're here to do. It's not about us. It's about the future. John was able to cleverly use that as an opportunity to say, not, oh, we will plant the trees that others will sit under, but instead, come and look at me planting trees on my podcast. And you should interview Ben. I think he'd be a great interview.
It's Spotify, Facebook, and YouTube, by the way.
Do that because I did. Do that because I'm on one soon. I'm coming on up on one soon. When's that being broadcast, John?
Yours will be broadcast next Wednesday, hopefully, if everything goes as well.
Remind everyone tomorrow. So thank you. We close today. Looking forward to tomorrow. And I really have to say, we are not just saying first fully functioning digital democracy in the world and in human history. We're proving it. This is not edited. This is live. And this is positive. This is a society that will never go to war. Thank you very much, everyone. Please do vote if you have not voted on the subjects, on the voting issues today. We really must have a quorum. It's absolutely essential that we do. And tomorrow I'll see you at 1500 UTC. We can stop the broadcast.